Good morning, this is Pauline.
And this is Lester.
And we start today with the Society News for Friday, the 25th of May 2018. Tuesday, there will be 2 coffee mornings held in aid of the Society on Tuesday, the 29th of May. The first in the West Wight at the end of the Line Cafe, Yarmouth, from 10:30am to 12 noon, and the second in Bembridge at the Cloisters from 10:15am to 12 noon. Please go along and support these if you are able. Laura Jasper will be attending the coffee morning at Bembridge and will be taking along some low vision aids and magnifiers. The swimming group are swimming this Tuesday, the 29th of May, in Ryde at the Waterside Pool. The pool is closed to the public whilst the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join, please call the Society first to notify us of your swimming ability.
On Wednesday, the weekly coffee morning will be held at Millbrook House this Wednesday, 30th of May, from 10:30am. The coffee mornings are not just for blind and partially sighted people. Anybody can come along and have a cup of coffee or tea, as well as a piece of cake. We will also be holding the new low vision drop in between 10am and 12 noon on Wednesday the 30th of May. This will be a weekly event to allow you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at the Society without the need for an appointment.
On Thursday, the Thursday Social Group are meeting on Thursday 31st of May at Millbrook House. The group meets from 10:30am till 2pm. You can knit or just have a chat, then later in the afternoon volunteers come in and read to the group from different topics.
Any other news? The Isle of Wight Fellowship meeting will be held at Bethany Evangelical Church, Union Street, Newport, on Saturday the 26th of May at 3pm. The speaker this month is Mr. Terry Blunden. There will be hymns, a quiz, story reading and a short Christian message, followed by tea. A collection is taken from which donations are made to the Torch Trust for the Blind. Hymn books and scripture are available in large print and braille. For further details, please contact Jackie Moore on 520-797. Local volunteers from the Guide Jobs charity will be visiting a number of venues over the next few months, talking about the work of the charity and how you can be involved. They will be at Sandown Library on the 23rd of June, Ryde Library on the 21st of July, and Ventnor Library on the 18th of August. All the library venue times will be at 10:30am till 2:30pm. You can also find them at the Isle of Wight Community Club Open Day at Park Road in Cowes on August the 27th from 12 noon onwards. Contrary to advertised information, Laura Jasper will not be attending the monthly Ask at Aspire event on a Monday in Ryde. The event has been cancelled by the organisers, but Sight for Wight received this information after advertising it and going to print in the newsletter. We apologise for any inconvenience. Dress for Less will be closed on Wednesdays for the time being, whilst new volunteers are being trained. We apologise for any inconvenience. Up-to-date information regarding opening times can be found on our website and on our Facebook page. Do you enjoy the activities and facilities provided by Sight for Wight? Perhaps you've recently attended an activity or event and would like to wax lyrical about it. If so, then Chris Kane would like to hear from you. As part of our promoting wellbeing and supporting services and activities, we would like to hear your positive feedback, which will be part of a video promoting Sight for Wight. If you have a story you would like to enthuse about and don't mind being recorded on video, then please contact Chris Kane on 522-205 or email admin@wsb.org.uk. On Wednesday the 6th of June, Tom McNulty from the Macular Society will be attending the coffee morning at Millbrook House. Please come along and meet Tom for a chat. You can now listen to Laura and Chris being interviewed on Vectis Radio on Tuesday the 22nd of May, discussing member services following the County Press articles.
Now we move on to the scaffolding news. And we have a list of known footway obstructions for works, including scaffolding or hoarding. We are unable to include end dates as many are extended on a week-by-week basis. Also included are tables and chairs permits that have been issued in the past week. Starting with the Bay and Ventnor area, there is currently scaffolding at Premier Inn 1-9 Esplanade Sandown, 11A and 11B St John's Road Sandown, 64 High Street Shanklin, 40 Little Stairs Road Shanklin, Shanklin Hotel Eastmount Road Shanklin, United Reformed Church High Street Shanklin, corner of Trinity Road and Madeira Road, Ventnor, 1 Boniface Road and into Trinity Road, Ventnor, 22 Spring Hill, Ventnor, Hose Road Dixon at 1 High Street, Ventnor, Lewes Cottage, Market Street, Ventnor, 21 West Street, Ventnor. There are currently hoardings at Wight City, Culver Parade, Sandown, Premier Inn 1-9 Esplanade, Sandown, United Reformed Church, High Street, Shanklin. New scaffolding is due at 79 High Street, Sandown from the 5th of June. New skips are due at 25 Donington Drive, Shanklin from the 4th of June, Undercliff House 5 Esplanade, Shanklin from the 5th of June, and 26 South Street, Ventnor from the 11th of June.
And in the Cowes area, there's currently scaffolding at Royal London Yacht Club, the Parade, Cowes, Sainsbury's 129 to 130 High Street, Cowes, 3 Castle Road, Cowes, and 78 Park Road, Cowes. There are currently hoardings at 93 High Street, Cowes. And there are currently skips at 42 St Andrews Street, Cowes, 18 The Green, Cowes, in Service Lane outside property, 22 St David's Road, East Cowes, 9 Albany Road, East Cowes, and new scaffolding is due at Totty's Fish and Chip Shop, High Street, Cowes, and we're waiting new dates.
In the Newport area, there is currently scaffolding at 18 Ludley Street, Newport, the Waverley, 2 Clatterford Road, Newport, Domino's, St James's Street, Newport, 42 Trafalgar Road, Newport, 68A St James's Street, Newport, Clinton's Cards, High Street, Newport, W.H. Smith, 55 to 56 High Street, Newport. There are currently skips at 59 White Pit Lane, Newport, and new scaffolding is due at White Mountain Bike Shop, St James's Street, Newport, that's from the 5th of June, and Therapy, 2 to 8 Carisbrook Road, Newport, and that's from the 7th of June.
And these are in the Ryde area. There's currently scaffolding at Rectory Mansion, 1 Key Lane, Brading, Clinton Cards, High Street, Ryde, W.H. Smith's, 20 to 21 High Street, Ryde, St James Church, Market Street, Ryde, 26 George Street, Ryde, 11 John Street, Ryde, the Colonnade, Lynn Street, Ryde, 13 Cross Street, Ryde, and Charcoal Grill, 65A Union Street, Ryde. And there are currently skips at 4 South Street, Ryde, 2 Cornwall Street, Ryde, 113 High Park Road, Ryde, 10 John Street, Ryde, Sand Cove, Pier Road, Seaview, Rockcliffe, Circular Road, Seaview. A new scaffolding is due at White Fish and Chips, 41 to 42 High Street, Ryde, awaiting new dates for this, Superdrug, High Street, Ryde, from the 4th of June, Kids & Co, 22 High Street, Ryde, from the 11th of June.
And in the West Wight area, there is currently scaffolding at the Memorial Hall, Avenue Road, Freshwater. New scaffolding is due at Holdings and Old Post Office, Key Street, Yarmouth, from the 4th of June. Jojo's, School Green Road, Freshwater, from the 4th of June. Sainsbury's, 10 School Green Road, Freshwater, from the 5th of June.
This week in Touch. In Touch, in this week's episode, a factory in Russia. During the Cold War, Peter Wight heard a fascinating rumour from Russia that there were factories which employed the visually impaired almost exclusively. But today, initiatives offering protected employment for blind people are viewed as suspect. Society has moved towards integration, and segregating the workers is seen as unfashionable. But in Russia, one of the electronics factories Peter heard about is still going strong, and Peter is about to go on a special visit. and this is presented by Peter Wight and produced by Sue Mitchell.
Now we move on to the County Press for Friday the 25th of May, and we start with the headlines. First one is No Red Tape During Blitz. Red tape is forcing a 93-year-old war hero to spend some of his life savings on a stairlift. Alec Penstone, who lives independently with wife Gladys, 91, in Shanklin, has been told charity funding would take weeks to be approved. An armed forces charity and the Isle of Wight Council will have to follow procedures before the grant can be approved. Alec feels this is taking too long and has cashed in life insurance policies to meet the £5,000 cost of the stairlift. Alec said, I didn't have to ask for permission when the London Blitz started when I was 15 and I was pulling dead bodies from bombed houses. When I joined the Royal Navy, I didn't ask the country if I could take part in 10 Arctic convoys, for which the Russians have given me 6 medals and a Maritime Bravery Award, nor for the Normandy landings, for which I have received the Légion d'honneur from the grateful French government. I served our country and have several honours, but I've never claimed benefits or sought help before. My lovely wife and I are really finding it very difficult to go up and down stairs due to our age and the various ailments that come with age. As we've been married 73 years this year, we know when either is suffering, so I thought it was about time to think about a stairlift. As neither of us has ever claimed or been offered benefits, I looked into whether I could get a grant towards the cost. The Armed Forces charity SSAFA took all our details and left us feeling all would be well. It turns out I have to be assessed again by the Isle of Wight Council to see if the council offers a grant. If it's a no from the council, and I am told it would be, as we are not receiving any benefits, then and only then will SSAFA step in and we will go through the whole rigmarole again. This would again take many weeks and we can't wait. We're going through all this fuss and expense just to give my wife and I the pleasure of going upstairs to bed. It has really upset both of us. A statement from SSAFA said, SSAFA's local branch is dedicated to providing the Isle of Wight military community with practical, emotional and financial support when needed. There are, however, for all charities and support organisations, processes that must be followed, primarily to ensure each individual is helped in the safest and most effective way. SSAFA is still working with Mr Penstone on this matter, and once the required safety assessments have been completed, which are necessary to protect Mr Penstone, we will be delighted to continue to help him with the stairlift and any other needs he might have.
And the second headline from the County Press this week, Surprising Rescues by Emily Pearce. Ever had to call the fire service after losing the keys to your handcuffs? Spare a thought for the 35 people who needed help removing an object from their person over the last 5 years, according to the latest government figures, because that cannot have been an easy call to make. Filed under removal of objects from people, examples include rings stuck on fingers, handcuffs that need unlocking, trapped limbs, and even impalings such as piercing a foot on a spike. Although their job sees them save lives at house fires and car crashes, firefighters attend many different types of incidents. Between April 2012 and March 2017, the Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service freed 98 people trapped in lifts and rescued 67 animals. Cats stuck in trees, seagulls stranded in supermarkets, and horses trapped in ditches were among the animals rescued. Elsewhere in the country, firefighters rescued a cat from an extractor fan at a Darlington pizza shop, an 8-foot boa constrictor called Billy from a gas fireplace in Lincolnshire, and helped a puppy escape from the mechanism of a reclining chair. An RSPCA spokesperson said the RSPCA works very closely with the emergency services and the charity is always very grateful for any help it receives from them. Last year, the RSPCA was called to collect or rescue 114,584 animals. In situations where the RSPCA officers are unable to reach an animal that is trapped or injured, the charity can request the help of the Fire and Rescue Service. However, it's entirely up to them whether or not they attend. Some fire crews use animal rescues for training, but emergencies involving people will always take priority. On the Isle of Wight, there are 127 good intent false alarms and just one hoax call. There were 271 flooding incidents and 38 involving hazardous materials.
Furious beach hut owners have slammed immoral Isle of Wight Council plans which they fear could see them facing rent rises of up to 400%. The ground rent for huts on council-owned land is around £308 a year. However, based on a new valuation of £162.03 per square metre, the figure could rise to between £608 and £1,296. The proposed changes affect 174 beach huts at Apley and Puckpool Ride, Gurnard, East Cowes and Old Littlestairs Shanklin. Those at Dunrome in Sandown and Madeira Road Colwell will be considered separately at a future date. The rent increases, if approved by the authority, will be phased in to ease pressures and will be combined with 10-year leases to replace the current 3-year leases. However, angry beach hut owners at Lakes Dunrome site have branded the proposed rent increases immoral, so they can't afford to pay them. Owner Sarah Brading said, "I'm absolutely disgusted. This will be a 400% rise in 3 years. It is a lot of money for people on low incomes to find." Fellow beach hut owner Richard Armstrong, 72, added, "We don't have any rights. The council can do what they like. I can't really afford what we're paying at the moment. I'm totally upset and quite angry. I feel like we have been mugged." Another owner, Chris Arnold, 61, said, "It is unaffordable. A lot of people are retired. You're talking about 25% of their pensions. It is an immoral 400% increase. People are not very happy." Julie Downton of the Felixstowe Beach Hut and Chalet Association urged Isle of Wight beach hut owners to form their own association. The Felixstowe organisation successfully fought similar moves by Suffolk Coastal District Council last year. It negotiated a rate of £500 a year for beachfront huts and £400 a year for non-beachfront huts. She said, "We demanded the council had a proper consultation. I will help the Isle of Wight organisers in any way I can." Isle of Wight Council leader, Councillor Dave Stewart, said, "People with beach huts have an asset from which they can get great enjoyment and can potentially gain financially if they choose. We are planning a fair and standardised market rent for the ultimate benefit of all island residents. We've had a review of rent valuations to bring them right up to date and remove current disparities between smaller and larger huts."
Hope for St Vincent's residents. A glimmer of hope has been given to residents of St Vincent's Care Home in Ryde. The home is an armed forces charity, AFA's only care home in the United Kingdom, and houses 24 residents who were told a month ago their future there was uncertain. At a meeting with the residents and staff on Tuesday, AFA revealed an offer had been put forward by another care provider who wished to keep the home going. The decision has been delayed until Monday, July the 16th, to allow the offer to be considered. A statement from SSAFA said, "The offer comes from a provider who wishes to take on St Vincent's as a home available for ex-service people and to continue to offer accommodation to that market." While we remain in this consultation period, St Vincent's will operate with the same usual standards of excellent care. A letter to residents and staff from SSAFA stated there had been widespread recognition of the dedication and care provided by the St Vincent's team, and there was an earnest wish for this to be maintained. It stated, "Trustees share these sentiments and a search for a provider with the infrastructure skills and experience to take on St Vincent's as a going concern, and it's still our priority to fulfil our commitments to our beneficiaries. A relative of St Vincent's resident said after the meeting, "Morale was a lot better, although lots is still up in the air. The news has been received very well and residents seem a lot happier."
Controversial plans for a housing development in Nettleston have been backed by the parish council, despite objections from villagers. Residents have spoken of mistrust and misrepresentation after Nettleston Seaview Parish Council voted to support the building of 34 properties in Gibwell Field. Councillor Diane Thomas-Foxley, chair of the planning subcommittee, said the scheme would provide care facilities for the elderly and affordable housing, which residents had marked a priority in a consultation survey conducted last year. The scheme will also create a public space in the field, which currently has no legal access, and parking for Nettleston Primary School, which will resolve traffic issues at drop-off and pick-up time. But residents fear the development, managed by Bloombridge developers, will cause chaos and destroy the beauty spot. David Adams, 58, of Nettleston said, "In principle we have no objection to the care home, but the location isn't right. The green brings the countryside into the town, and this development goes against everything the council and parish council should be striving to protect." Councillor Reg Barry, Isle of Wight councillor for Nettleston and Seaview, said, "It is clear the parish councillors feel they don't have to listen to the people they represent. The survey doesn't simply provide a mandate for any housing development in any location." Both Councillor Barry and Mr Adams cited a similar 1990 application which was rejected by the council. As there's been no material change to the village, they argue the parish council should not back the plan now. Parish Council Chair, Councillor Vilma Barraclough, said, "We voted to support the development because it fulfils the needs shown in the survey that form the parish plan. We have considered the opposing views and felt the wider needs of the parish outweighed those concerns." Parish Clerk Mark Pink said it has been a 5-year collaborative process that included locals, the parish council, the developers and Councillor Barry. Community engagement with Bloombridge started in December 2013 and 4 workshops and formal updates have been held since. The consultations have led to a reduced size, altered parking arrangements and the removal of 2 roads. The master plan is now in its 5th generation and more aligned with residents' needs. Richard Cutler from Bloombridge said, "I am delighted we received support from the parish council."
Carl's scaffold death was an accident. Catastrophic head injuries after falling from scaffolding this year caused the death of chip shop owner Mark Pritchard, the Isle of Wight Coroner's Court heard. Mr Pritchard, 53, fell from scaffolding outside Chip Ahoy on the corner of Victoria Road and St Mary's Road, Cowes, on January the 2nd. He was taken to St Mary's Hospital before being transferred by helicopter to Southampton General, where he died on January the 22nd. Had he survived, he would have been disabled with severe brain damage, such were his injuries. The court heard Mr Pritchard was working on the property of his uncle, Raymond Pritchard, on the scaffolding owned by the family and assembled by the 2 men. They had just moved the scaffolding around the premises when it collapsed while Mr Pritchard was standing on top of it and his uncle was climbing up to secure it. It was on a sloping road and the men had placed blocks and plywood under the feet of the scaffolding to level it out. Coroner Caroline Summeray said, "The scaffolding collapsed and Mr Pritchard suffered catastrophic head injuries, ultimately unsurvivable injuries. It was not an industrial accident as they were essentially doing DIY on private property. Unfortunately, it would appear the scaffolding was not properly constructed." She concluded he died an accidental death.
2 teenagers have been arrested in connection with a burglary at a £1.5 million beachfront home in Ryde. Originally built in the 16th century and owned by the Earl of Yarborough, Beldorney Tower off Augusta Road is currently being renovated by its new owners. It was broken into over the bank holiday weekend earlier this month between 8 p.m. on Friday, May the 4th and 9 a.m. on Monday, May the 7th. A police spokesperson said the property was accessed on a number of occasions over the weekend. Damage was caused to the property and tools were reported stolen. A nearby flat was also broken into at around 2 a.m. on Monday, May the 7th, and items, including a computer, pressure washer and lawnmower, reported stolen. The Grade 2 listed Beldorney Tower has 6 bedrooms, swimming pool, music room, 2 apartments and views over the Solent. It was rebuilt in 1840 in a Victorian Gothic style for a London barrister and publisher, Edward Utterson, and until it was purchased by financier Scott Tatum and businesswoman Beth Medley, had not been on the market for 50 years. Ms Medley said the building's security alarm was triggered, alerting the police. The police spokesperson said a 14-year-old girl from Ryde and a 17-year-old boy of no fixed address had been arrested on suspicion of burglary. They've been released from custody but remain under investigation.
Why Parents Are Teaching Kids at Home by Megan Baines. A higher proportion of children are home educated on the Isle of Wight than anywhere else in the country. As of the end of January, 378 children were being home educated on the island, the highest proportion in the UK at almost 1 in 50. Nationally, home education has risen by 40% in 3 years. The Isle of Wight Council attributes the high levels on the island in part to under-reporting elsewhere in the country. Cabinet member for Children's Services, Councillor Paul Brading, said the tracking systems for home-educated children on the island were excellent. He added, "Parents have made the choice to come for home education and it's up to them if they would like support from the council. The authority does not offer any financial support for parents. The 2 biggest expenses of education, the building and the teachers, do not exist with home education," said Councillor Brading. Although parents cite many reasons for home educating their children, Councillor Brading said, "If we improve confidence in the schools, we may see less home educating on the island." Kate Brett and her husband Michael from Newport home educate their 4 children. Aged between 4 and 12, they began home educating because it was the right decision for the children. She first began homeschooling when her eldest son, who has special education needs, began to find the school system very difficult. 12-year-old Jacob was 9 when he was taken out of school, followed shortly by 14-year-old Charlotte, Thomas 6 and Alexander 4, who has never been to school. She said, "I don't think I would put them back in school, and improvements to the school system would not make any difference to us." Kate said the home educating community on the island organises trips and outings, so her children were always doing something social. Although parents have to shoulder the cost of homeschooling, Kate said resources were shared among home educators. "We speak to each other, and if someone were to say, 'I want to do a project on Egyptians,' if I had the resources, I would lend it to them." Jonathan Idle has been homeschooling his 3 children for 13 years, taking his eldest out of school when she was 5 years old. He said, "At the time, my oldest was a free spirit and it just made sense for us to keep her at home with me. We didn't want her to feel she had to conform. For us, it has not been about how good or bad the school system is." Jonathan said homeschooling required a whole different mindset to traditional school. They don't just learn between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. We are not trying to replicate a school, he said. As his children have got older, Jonathan said he helped his children gain more traditional qualifications. After studying for an apprenticeship, his daughter now lives and works in Edinburgh as a theatre technician. Sarah from Shanklin removed her now 18-year-old when he was 11 after she had suffered 2 years of bullying at 3 different schools. Her youngest daughter has never been sent to school. She said, "We're not keen so much on some aspects of primary education now. We wanted to have free learning as she directs where she can explore and go off at tangents without needing to stay on track with the national curriculum. We believe strongly in learning to read and write, the importance of maths, but in a time that suits her rather than the pressure of her having to learn it if she's not quite ready for it. If our youngest really wants to try school at some point, we won't stop her. But there would have to be massive changes for me to want to encourage her to go. Sarah said, "I was worried about homeschooling, but neither my oldest nor I have any regrets now."
Giant beach clean to mark Isle of Wight Day. Islanders are encouraged to have beach parties instead of street parties and join the UK's longest ever coastline clean-up for this year's Isle of Wight Day. The 67-mile clean-up was announced on Monday as the main focus for the day in the official launch of Isle of Wight Day 2018, which will take place on Saturday, September the 22nd and Sunday, September the 23rd. Leading the new initiative is Mascot Nipper, a 7-foot-tall crab with pincers to pick up plastic waste, who will help recruit the hundreds of volunteers needed and lead the clean-up. Besides the clean, the biggest ever People's Parade in Cowes with an after-parade party at Northwood House, an Island's Got Talent competition held by Rob de Bank, and a Songs of Praise concert hosted by Alan Titchmarsh will also take place. Island eateries and pubs are encouraged to create dishes sourced solely from island produce for the Dish of Isle of Wight Day competition, judged by restaurant experts Matt and Kat. Former Isle of Wight High Sheriff Robin Courage, founder of the Isle of Wight Day, said, "Isle of Wight Day was created as a day when the whole community could come together to celebrate everything that is great about our beautiful island. What better way to tell the world about this very special place than for us to come together and rid our beaches and coastal paths of unwanted plastic waste? Instead of street parties, let's all gather for beach parties." The island's ferry companies, Red Funnel, Whitelink and Hover Travel, are all sponsoring and supporting the event. Kevin George, Red Funnel's chairman and chief executive, said, "Isle of Wight Day is a great opportunity for local communities and visitors to rally around a single cause, which was highlighted so vividly in the Blue Planet series. This is likely to be the biggest beach clean the island has ever seen, helping both the marine ecology and the overall appeal of some of the most beautiful coastline in the south." Robin called for other island companies to become involved by sponsoring events on the day. He also asked for islanders to volunteer their services for the big weekend coastal clean-up and to support the events.
Council-run care home must improve, by Megan Baines. An Isle of Wight council-run care home was deemed to require improvements after a Care Quality Commission inspection. Seagull's care home in Whitbank Gardens, Shanklin, provides accommodation for people with learning disabilities and autism. At the time of the inspection in January, 5 people were living in the house. At the previous inspection, in October 2015, the service was rated good. On the first day of the inspection, it was found residents did not have easy access to toilet paper. There was no soap available for them to wash their hands, and a cotton hand towel was used to dry their hands, which inspectors said could spread germs. The premises were not always well maintained, and although the registered manager had requested the landlord carry out some works, these had not been done. One bathroom had cracked tiles, and the flooring was lifting up, creating an infection risk. Residents often sat with little to do for long periods of time, while 2 staff members carried out duties in a task-oriented manner. Staff did not spend time with the people unless they were providing care. Inspectors said residents and their relatives were not regularly involved in the assessment and ongoing reviews of their care. Although people received their medicines as prescribed, inspectors identified some areas where improvements could be made to ensure the safe administration of topical creams, and not all contained labels with opening and expiry dates. Inspectors also received some positive feedback about the care staff and their approach to people using the service. The council said swift action had been taken at the earliest opportunity to make improvements. A spokesperson said, "We understand the importance of ensuring our care homes meet not only CQC requirements, but ensure the people we serve are safe, well and receive quality of care of our own relatives would expect.
The RIDE regeneration project could include bringing empty buildings back into use and creating more green spaces, but residents have balked at the idea of new homes on the seafront. Members of the Isle of Wight Council's regeneration team presented their ideas at a workshop at Ryde Castle, giving residents the opportunity to have their say on the future of the town. One element of the scheme could include redeveloping the seafront, creating an exciting and vibrant area for recreation, leisure and commerce, to raise cash to improve the transport interchange and increase youth provision. Regeneration Director Chris Ashman said the council was not planning to sell off public spaces, but not everyone was convinced, and many were unhappy about the prospect of housing on the seafront. Ryde Town Councillor Julian Critchley, who met the regeneration team before the workshop, said, "I expressed the view knocking down the bowling club and replacing it with executive houses round the back of the harbour wasn't what many of us really thought was regeneration. Ryde needs regeneration which will attract visitors, jobs and commerce to the town, not more absentee second home owners. There's a desperate need to change the base of the pier, so the first glimpse of Ryde for visitors isn't a dilapidated bus station, to address the issue of the ice rink building, which is fast becoming derelict, and increasingly derelict buildings such as the Town Hall, Royal York and Vectis Hall." Isle of Wight Councillor for Ryde East, Michael Lilly, said, "There is a strong feeling Ryde needs an inclusive, sustainable plan formulated through consultation with the community. Those attending were critical of the esplanade being in any way used for housing. I concur with this sentiment." Assistant Regeneration Director Renera O'Donnell said the council would revise its plans in light of residents' views.
Trust insists Isle of Wight Studio School is not viable. The South East Regional Schools Commissioner said he would take into account the Isle of Wight Studio School's latest Ofsted report before making any decision on its future. Ofsted inspectors visited the school earlier this month, although the outcome will not be known for several weeks. The Inspire Academy Trust, which runs the school, has reaffirmed its belief the school is financially unsustainable. A trust spokesman said, "Inspire Academy Trust is overwhelmed by the high regard for the Isle of Wight Studio School and is held by people on the island. However, during this difficult process, we have undertaken further analysis which confirms our view the school is financially unsustainable in its current form. The school will be in deficit at the end of this academic year, and this will continue and get worse next year. Operating a school at 40% capacity indefinitely is simply not tenable, and sadly, the Isle of Wight Studio School has only ever operated at around half its total capacity. This is not in the best interests of the school or its students. Inspire Academy Trust has extensively explored all the options available to us to keep the school open. Regrettably, no solution has been found. We now await the final decision of the Department for Education. Since a potential closure was announced, parents, students and councillors have campaigned to keep the school open. Andy Lockwood and Sharon Lake, who coordinated the campaign, thanked islanders for their phenomenal support. They said, "This only proves what we already know. This school offers what young people need and truly does change lives for the better. If the Regional Schools Commissioner, Dominic Harrington, does indeed accept the Inspire Academy Trust's proposal to close the school next summer, despite the hundreds of students, parents, businesses, organisations and the island community as a whole putting forward strong and valid arguments, he clearly hasn't been listening."
A disqualified driver took his then-girlfriend's Porsche Boxster without permission before smashing it into a front garden and turning up at her home covered in blood. Jamie Mobley of Fort Street Sandown admitted aggravated vehicle taking, driving while being disqualified, using a vehicle without insurance and breaching a restraining order when he appeared before the Isle of Wight Crown Court for sentencing last Friday. The court heard Mobley had taken the powerful car from outside his parents' house. Mobley was under the influence of something when he took the vehicle, which he then crashed into the front garden of a home in Station Road, Wootton, writing it off. He left the scene on foot and turned up at his ex-partner's home at 4 a.m, waking her and her daughter up. They could see he was intoxicated and had a gash on his forehead and was covered in blood, said Nick Tucker, prosecuting. Mobley admitted to the woman he had been an idiot and told her to call the police. While in hospital, a policeman observed how Mobley was talking gibberish and to an imaginary friend, although no evidence of a head injury was found. The court was told Mobley had around 30 previous convictions, including ones for dishonesty and driving offences. For Mobley, Jai Scarsbrook said his client had been in custody on remand. He said Mobley's ex-partner had been in a somewhat strained relationship and she'd left the vehicle with him so he could do some work on it. He said he suffered significant injuries in the accident and gave no thought for the consequences. He is remorseful, but he was not thinking straight. He is 38 and knows he should know better. Mobley was jailed for 16 months, suspended for 2 years and disqualified from driving for 12 months.
Call centre backs young people. Children and young adults with additional needs have been given work placements at call centre Ascensos. The contact centre manager specialist who opened a customer service centre on the Isle of Wight last year has joined forces with the 4Ps radio course, a community programme for young people based at Vectis Radio. The partnership with Ascensos support the 4P programme by offering work placements at its Cowes Centre, providing volunteer support and assisting with project funding. The 4Ps is a not-for-profit course designed to help young people build their confidence and communication skills, using radio as a form of therapy and teaching, presenting, production, promoting and podcasting. It is for those with additional needs aged 11 to 25. Ascensos Chief Executive John Devlin said, "The 4Ps is a wonderful project which is making a real difference to young people on the Isle of Wight, providing them with a great opportunity to build confidence and improve on their communication skills." Ian Mack, 4P's course leader, said, "We have had unbelievable success with the programme and more than 120 young people have completed the course since it was launched in 2013.
Founders and leaders of the award-winning Aspire Ride project were invited inside Windsor Castle to be part of the royal wedding. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle invited 1,200 people who have helped communities across the UK to share a part of their special day, and Heath and Julie Monaghan of Aspire were among the lucky selection. Julie said she screeched with excitement when she received the call from the Lord Lieutenant's office. It was such a huge honour to be invited, and it was so difficult to keep the news to ourselves. It was a shame it was just us from Aspire, as every one of our volunteers deserves the recognition for their hard work. Aspire Ride received the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service last year, which is the equivalent of an MBE for the organisation. He said it was fantastic to be inside the castle, soaking up the atmosphere, watching all the celebrities and royal family members. It was such a delight and an honour to be asked. We really felt part of the day, and seeing the guests just a stone's throw away was fantastic. I want to take this opportunity to thank the whole team at Aspire, without whom we would not be able to deliver the amount of great work that takes place at Aspire Ride. Joining Heath and Julie at the royal wedding was Island freelance photographer Graham Redding. Graham, 59 of Ride, was asked by the chief photographer of the Windsor Observer to cover the event just 4 days earlier. "I was very honoured to be asked," said Graham. "It was so exciting to go and be part of the atmosphere." Having covered the Queen Mother's funeral, Charles and Camilla's wedding and the Queen's visit from the French President, Graham is no newbie to royal events. "I was on the long walk. It was a great position. I managed to snap Meghan in the car and the procession of royals with the cavalry."
New rules on wood burners are welcomed. "We're all for it," says Isle of Wight firm. Isle of Wight wood-burning stove manufacturer A.J. Wells and Sons has welcomed government plans to toughen up pollution laws. The proposed legislation has been widely reported as clampdowns on wood burners But Managing Director for Hugh Wells, speaking on BBC Radio 2's Jeremy Vine show this week, said the company and the industry was keen to reduce air pollution. Wood burners would not be banned, but new stoves would have to be cleaner and people would be encouraged to burn dry wood. The sale of wet wood could be banned and councils could be given new powers limiting what people could burn and when. The government hopes the clean air measures, which include a clampdown on coal burning and ammonia from farms, will reduce high levels of particle pollution. Mr. Wells said innovation was key to making wood burners more efficient, something AJ Wells had already been working on after the EU announced new rules several years ago. The company's latest model was its most efficient yet, running at 84% efficiency and produced less smoke, he said. Marketing Director Sed Wells said cleaner stoves were more expensive to make, but the additional cost, partly met by government grants, would not be a detrimental effect on the business. The company employs around 150 people on the island, and wood-burning stoves accounted for around 3/4 of its business, in addition to enamel signs and chimney systems. We see this as part of the solution. We're all for it. We want our products to be safe and good for the environment, so we welcome regulation, said. There are a lot of imported stoves that are not regulated or tested like ours, so this is good for our business. It's good for British jobs and manufacturing.
Controversial plans for a 60-lodge holiday village at Brading Marsh, resurrected after 5 years, are being recommended for approval. Around 340 objections have been lodged with the Isle of Wight Council against the plans, which will go before the authority's planning committee on Tuesday with a recommendation of conditional approval. Billed as a sustainable tourism and wetland enhancement project, the scheme proposes 60 holiday lodges and a reception and health site building on land east of Roebuck Farm Cottages, south of Carpenter's Road. The plan also includes an RSPB visitor centre and storage barn. Council officers are recommending permission under the condition the holiday lodges are restricted to holiday use only and are not occupied until the RSPB visitor centre has been substantially completed. Officers also suggest the condition that restoration of the nature reserve should be carried out and the nature reserve and visitor centre should be transferred to the RSPB free of charge within 3 months of those works being completed. The land had once been earmarked to become an international golf course. Opponents of the plan 5 years ago voiced concerns about the effect on the environment, erosion of the green belt, the appearance of the development, and it would be on a floodplain. Similar concerns have been raised this time with Brading Town Council, Bembridge Parish Council and St Helens Parish Council all raising objections. According to the committee report, no objections have been raised by the council's ecology officer, Natural England, the Environment Agency or the RSPB, which supports the development. The council also received 5 letters of support. Those in favour said the proposals would benefit the local economy, create new jobs and provide an opportunity for people to access hides, view wildlife and learn about the environment.
Top Award for Chapel's Restoration by David Newby. After 10 years of planning, 5 of which were spent exploring funding options, the restoration of the 2 chapels at Northwood Cemetery was completed last October. And to crown it all, the restoration was chosen as a winner of the Isle of Wight Society's 2018 Conservation Award. The Isle of Wight High Sheriff, Georgia Minghella Giddens, presented the awards to John Matthews and David Jones, 2 of the Friends of Northwood Cemetery's founding members. The major achievement of the Restoration Chapel was accomplished through the dedication of officers from the Isle of Wight Council, the landowners and volunteers from the Friends of Northwood Cemetery, supported by a very professional team of project managers, architects and contractors. The appointed architect was Radley House Partnership of Winchester, led by Director Jeremy Poll, and the building contractor was island-based G.J. Banks Limited, led by Jill Banks. The Friends Group, which was founded in 2008, led the way, finding the Heritage Lottery Fund willing to grant the 1.6 million required. The group's chairman, Peter Allmond, said, "This has been a fantastic team effort by many motivated people." Despite hurdles along the way and a few doubters, the project proved to be highly successful, coming within budget and within timescale. It included many other improvements beyond the chapels, which make the cemetery a welcoming place and an oasis of wonderful natural history. We now have 2 Grade 2 listed chapels, one usable as originally intended for funeral services and the other equipped as a heritage resource centre for family historians, and it's opened 5 half-days a week.
A striking modern building geared to creating a world-class engineering workforce on the island, to a novel eel elevator designed to make it easier for eels to make their way upstream, were commended at the Joint Royal Institute of British Architects and Isle of Wight Society annual awards ceremony. Other award winners included vertipools created at Yarmouth along the seawall, which create havens for marine life, and a beautiful extension to an existing building in Park Road, Cowes, as well as work to restore Shanklin's War Memorial. The cream of the island's conservation community were at the event held at the Royal Yacht Squadron, Cowes, last Friday, along with award winners and nominees for the best in Isle of Wight design and conservation projects. Presenting the awards, Isle of Wight High Sheriff Gioa Minghella Giddens said she had been privileged to celebrate the talented designers and architects on the island. She said, "The building environment is at least as important as our landscapes and seascapes. It is my fervent hope our generation is eventually judged by the architecture we leave behind us."
Shipyard reminiscence. Ex-apprentices at John Samuel White's shipyard met for a reunion lunch at the Island Sailing Club, Cowes. This year was the 5th time the annual event has taken place, and 90 ex-apprentices across all trades, including the design and drawing officers, came together. Event organiser Peter Headley said, "Many members present were apprentices in the 1940s, 50s and 60s, when Admiralty and commercial ships were built in premises south of the floating bridge. The hulls were built on the East Cowes side of the river, and all the engineering trades were centred on the west bank of the River Medina. All steam turbines, boilers, condensers, pipework and electrical items were lifted on board by the hammerhead crane, still standing as the last reminder of a once flourishing shipyard, where these then apprentices served their time."
And now it's goodbye from Pauline.
And it's goodbye from Leicester.
Right, good morning, it's Paul, I'm reading for you today.
And this is Madeline, also reading.
We're going to start with some letters. Cuckoos heard from Celia Vosper at Freshwater. I'm interested to find out if the cuckoo has been heard on the island this year. Last year I heard it just once, but not as yet, not at all this spring. These birds are not among the most welcome to this country, but their arrival has always been associated with longer days and warmer weather, and their flights from Africa are a miracle.
From Dean Francis in Northwood, statistics don't show true picture. The police district commander for the Isle of Wight, Superintendent Sarah Jackson, was upbeat in the article, "Good year for Isle of Wight police as more criminals caught." The Inspectorate of Constabulary rated the force good in 2017, and justice is being delivered to more victims. The following week, the BBC published analysis of Home Office data for the period 2014 to 17, which showed recorded crime in the Hampshire Constabulary area was up by 35% compared to a 21% national average. In the same period, criminal charges in the Hampshire Constabulary area were down by 21% compared to an 11% national average. No surprise given that Hampshire Constabulary has been pruned back with a chainsaw. So when the district commander pointed to a 20.3% increase in formal outcomes, such as criminal charges from March 2017 to March 2018, was this a major turnaround, or were the figures given a presentational buff? There are a variety of formal outcomes that are not criminal charges, and they can be applied to many criminal offences. In the annual statistics bake-off, these become blended into the overall picture of how the police are doing on crime. This is where it gets a little tricky in terms of assessing the delivery of justice to victims. For example, a warning for possession of cannabis is a formal outcome, but there is no victim as such. Community resolution is a formal outcome, but does not require the consent of the victim to proceed. A penalty notice for shoplifting is a formal outcome, but may not satisfy a retailer who loses thousands of pounds a year to theft. The drop in charges is important because being charged is the primary legal mechanism which puts persistent and serious offenders in front of a court. No one can conclude from the crime figures that serious crime is falling, nor is there evidence that persistent offenders have, en masse, turned over a new leaf. The drop in charges has its roots in the ability of a much diminished police service to make arrests and investigate thoroughly, which is a formula for more crime with fewer of those responsible appearing before a court to face justice.
We now move on to we need a referendum on issue of fixed link. There's a letter from Howard Hawes, Carisbrook. Tim Cooper says in his lecture, parts of which were published in the County Press on 20th of April, that a Solent tunnel would encourage a huge influx of investment, by which he means a huge influx of people into the island, away from its reliance on tourism. His idea of attracting families would mean the influx of many more people, causing an increase in population as people stay, and so need far more housing with more road congestion too. Theoretical road plans will lead to greater congestion on island roads. We have seen how road plans work at Coppins Bridge. The fixed link would mean the island becoming a dormitory for commuters coming from and working in south coast towns and London. Londoners selling simple terrace houses for exorbitant sums will have the capital to outbid our youngsters, forcing young people out of their property market. Furthermore, second homes will be even more the order of the day, preventing local people from purchasing homes on the island. Increased industrialisation would, in all likelihood, mean the pollution of our streams, rivers and air. Our green fields and woodlands giving way to a grey, concrete, overcrowded city, with all its commitment problems. If Tim Cooper were to get his way, this island would be covered in concrete, with its countryside, its quiet, safer way of life gone forever. It would instead become an apology of an island, a crowded, overbuilt peninsula of Portsmouth. Criminal gangs coming down from the north are known to have been operating in the south, and then driving back up motorways such as the M1. Our safety moat, the Solent, would no longer protect us. Were it ever to be undermined with a hole beneath it, acting as a rat run, enabling the criminal element, both individuals and gangs, to speed fast away back to their underground, dark city haunts. As Paul Buchan wisely said, after the one-sided lecture by Tim Cooper, the most sensitive issue may be whether Isle of Wight residents want the changes a tunnel would bring. We really must have a referendum on this controversial issue.
From Mr. S. Cooper of Brading, I didn't enjoy Hullabaloo. The Hullabaloo event was a total joke and waste of money and people's time. There were no disabled toilets, no disabled parking, no proper food stalls. Fudge and sandwiches don't constitute a decent meal. There was no burger van, only vegetarian food, and as for entertainment, what entertainment? There was none. The 30 or so people I spoke to in the car park wanted their £3 parking fee back. Nobody I spoke to will attend next year, or tell friends and family to attend. Thank goodness for Walk the Wight on the Sunday. Another day of hullabaloo drivel would have been too much.
Contract is key from Maurice Fitzgerald in Ventnor. The Mayor of East Cowes says in his letter, the County Press 18th of May, about the floating bridge, it is entering its second year still without demonstrating an ability to meet the Isle of Wight Council's procurement specification, albeit an inconsistent and ineffectual document. He goes on to say, the cost of all such remedial and restorative works should be the clear responsibility of the shipbuilder and or naval architect. However, a court would be unlikely to expect a contractor to be solely liable for not meeting an inconsistent and ineffectual specification. If that is the case, if I was a contractor, such a public admission about the failings of the most important part of the contract would have me rubbing my hands in glee.
Political opportunism from Councillor Chris Whitehouse, Newport. As a campaigner nationally for studio schools and a supporter of the one on the island, I share the widespread disappointment the trust behind it considers it financially unviable and seeks its closure. But what has really angered me is the ruthless, self-serving and exploitative way this issue has been milked by some individuals, including Green spokesperson Vix Lothian and Councillor Carl Love, who have jumped on the bandwagon to promote themselves in ways which haven't helped the Isle of Wight Studio School's cause. To exploit the distress of pupils for the most blatant political self-promotion is cruel and indefensible. Lothian and Love know full well these decisions are not made in County Hall, and the Isle of Wight Council cannot, in law, take over the running of the school. That would have to be done by another trust or by another school. If those exploiting the emotions of the children really want to help, they could establish a trust to run the school. But instead they want the political exposure their reckless hot air earns them.
There's a letter from Ian McKay, from Totland. What type of Tory is our MP? As we approach the first anniversary of having Bob Seeley as our MP, it is interesting to decide what sort of Conservative he is. Is he a pro-market, pro-free choice Thatcherite or Rees-Moggite, or is he a partial Heathite or Cameroon? While he has shown himself adept at avoiding questions and keeping his face in the papers, as one would expect from an ex-spin doctor, he has also shown himself very keen on governmental intervention in the free market, advocating intervention in the ferries business, property market and train services. He even raised concerns over the sale of the County Press and GKN. Very recently he then supported the forced reduction on limits on fixed odds gaming machines from £100 to £2. Despite this being an affront to personal choice, a decision that will inevitably cost jobs. People may well agree with him on many, if not all, of the positions he has adopted, but the question remains, what type of Tory is he? In my opinion, Seeley has demonstrated himself to be further left of Eden Heath and would find himself better suited to the Labour Party, although Blairites actually showed greater respect for the market than our MP.
Purse handed in. Thanks, County Press. This is from Trish Redpath in Seaview. Thank you, County Press. Last week you published my letter deploring the fact there was nowhere for honest people to hand in my lost purse. Within a couple of hours of the paper hitting the streets, I received a call from an unnamed gentleman who had seen my letter and also a card in the window of Hurst's in Union Street saying a purse had been handed in. I had visited the mainland immediately after the loss and returned only 10 days later, by which time the card had disappeared. So without the telephone call I would have remained blissfully unaware. Thank you to the person who found my purse in the street, thank you to Hurst for acting responsibly, and most of all thank you to the caller. My assumption that we live in a mostly honest society has thankfully been proved correct.
Who's in charge? This is from Angela Hewitt, East Cowes. I would like to respond to the editor's clarification about care homes, County Press of 18th of May. Dr. Carol Tozer is indeed Head of Adult Social Care and Community Wellbeing for the Isle of Wight Council. This is a service for protection of all adult human beings, in particular vulnerable human beings, living on the Isle of Wight, whether they live at home or in hospital, in council-run care homes, of which there are 16, a privately run care home or a nursing home. The editor's clarification seems to suggest Dr. Tozer was not responsible for island residents living in privately run care homes. To disclaim this responsibility would surely render her post pointless, at least lame. If we are at the bottom of the league table for adult care, and it only covers privately owned care homes, how worried should we all be? Having witnessed incompetence through 2 of these services, one of which was recommended by Adult Social Services, with an elderly loved one, I fear for my old age. In my opinion, homes that have to close down due to poor care should give refunds to all concerned. There should be less reliance on agency staff, and care home providers should offer better job prospects to their employees.
Robin brooch lost. From Kate Webb, 16 Shide Road, Newport. On Saturday in Newport, or at Riverfest, I lost a brooch in the shape of a robin, the breast being made of red crystals. If anyone finds it, please contact me on 521456.
This is the last letter for today. Thanks to the NHS, from Derek Atkins in Bembridge. The NHS is forever being criticised for this or that failing, but I'd like to say a big thank you to the staff on duty on May the 17th. My very elderly father-in-law, who has severe dementia, was taken into A&E in the very early hours. All the staff dealing with him were very caring, even though he was being difficult to deal with.
So moving on, we're looking back. And we're looking back 100 years ago, on May the 25th, 1918. Schools across the island celebrated Empire Day. The students of the freshwater CE schools saluted the flag, sang patriotic songs and marched around the grounds in military alignments. The girls sang Our Island Home, the boys sang Sailors and Soldiers, and the infants sang Keep the Home Fires Burning. Also, islanders mourned the death of the Reverend J. H. Shilson, who had been the highly esteemed minister of the United Methodist Church in Newport. Before his work in Newport, the Reverend had close connections with Cowes and Sandown and had been an active member of the British and Foreign Bible Society.
And moving on to 75 years ago, May the 22nd, 1943, the anniversary of the Home Guard was celebrated on the island by a parade and march past in Newport. More than 600 people were involved in the procession, led by Lieutenant Colonel F. Neville Jennings. The Colonel said it gave him great pleasure to talk to those involved on the 3rd anniversary of the Home Guard. Also, the same year, a communist meeting called for unity. They said the way forward for the working classes was the affiliation of the Communist Party and the Labour Party. It was thought even forces that generally opposed one another could come together when a common ground issue arose, such as defeating fascism.
And 50 years ago, on May the 18th, 1968, a Totland Bay WI meeting had a funny surprise when members arrived in Paris for their annual trip. They awoke to no electricity, no buses and no metro on their first day in the city. They realised they had clashed with one of the biggest strikes in Paris to date. Also, a Bembridge technician was awarded Technical Student of the Year in a national competition organised by the British Junior Chamber of Commerce. His prize was a 9-month tour of Australia on the Oriana and he was presented with his award by the Mayor of Birmingham. He had represented the island in the heats leading up to the final competition just a few weeks earlier.
And now 25 years ago, May the 21st, 1993, a couple from Bembridge were tied up and robbed by masked men thought to be responsible for a series of violent robberies. The couple were asleep when the men broke in and bound their feet. The robbers only made it out with £30 after they triggered the alarm system. And also the same year, tragedy occurred at Tapnell Farm, Freshwater, after a race marshal was knocked down and killed in a 4-car race. The National Autograss Sport Association carried out an investigation into the event. The car unexpectedly careered off the inside of the track and into the marshal.
And 10 years ago, on May the 23rd, 2008, teachers, parents and pupils finally found out where the axe was to fall in the new-look island education system. It was announced no school would remain untouched as the move to a 2-tier system was to happen over the next 2 years. Chale and Yarmouth primary schools were told they would close, alongside all 16 middle schools. And a tape contained the confidential medical records of more than 38,000 islanders was lost. The tape, with details of Sandown patients dating back the past 10 years, was sent to a London-based GP software company. It had not been returned to the health centre, despite being dispatched 2 months previously.
We now move on to Wight Memories. Football's passion in miniature. How times have changed. Today, men and women like to take themselves across to St Mary's Stadium or to Fratton Park to watch the Saints or Portsmouth play football, an exercise from which they would get little or no change from a £50 note. Not that we were less passionate about our respective teams 60 years ago, but money was a whole lot tighter. My week's wages in the shipyard amounted to less than £3, but at the same time my weekly bus ticket to Cowes cost less than the equivalent today of 35p. For those that can remember, 6 and 3 things have to be seen in comparison. In 1948, a group of local men got together and formed a table soccer league, a game better known at the time as Subbuteo. It was formed by my lifelong friend Ray Edmonds, who to this day lives in his beloved Fairley Road. Teams comprised 2 people, an outfield player and a goalkeeper. Road chose as his goalkeeper his father and named his team Fairley United. There were other teams from across the town, such as out of Gordon Beer, who captained Ash Rovers, Ted Cass, skipper of Melbourne Villa, Rob Fode of Collingwood Rovers, and Arthur Brewer, a team whose title I could never reconcile, that of Honey Hill Academicals. As an old friend of mine always said, what an unusual combination of words. Other teams included Priory Sports under the captaincy of Basil Groves, and the 2 Barton teams, the Athletic and the Albion, plus Avondale United, while from beyond the town's boundary came Swanmore and Wootton Wanderers. There was even a team named East Cowes Angels.
The games were played in front rooms with 20 minutes to each half. At half-time, music was provided by a record player blasting out marching music. It had all the authenticity of real football matches, even as far as pork pies at half-time. Each season culminated with a cup final held at Week's restaurant, where usually more than 50 supporters attended. On one occasion I attended, the event was honoured with the presence of George Bull, the then Mayor of Newport, who presented the winners with their trophy. Please do not run away with the idea, however, these were gentle, friendly occasions, because strong passions were aroused and the need of the referee was paramount. The league continued well into the late 1950s, when local teams started to go into Europe. Well, it was not exactly Europe, but in 1957, 3 teams played home and away against London teams from New Southgate. The home games were played at the Red Lion Hotel in St James's Square, the change of venue being made to accommodate the larger crowds that were in attendance, where Honeyhill Academicals, Ash Rovers and Collingwood Rovers flew the flag for the island. The return matches in London, however, resulted in 2 defeats and a draw, so the journey home was not too enjoyable. I recall all of this because I was recently given a photo album showing all the photos of that era. There I rediscovered many old friends who have now sadly passed on, including my eldest brother. It brought back those wonderful days when traffic travelled both ways in Newport High Street, of coffee and snacks in the Chef's Kitchen Cafe in Lower St James Street, and a time when the number of butchers' shops in the town amounted well into double figures. As I get fed up of telling those who care to listen, they were good days, when we put coke on the fire and did not shove it up our noses. As the majority of my generation agree, we would not like to be setting out on life today with all of its handicaps, such as tuition fees, unaffordable house prices and lack of unemployment. As they often tell me, we lived through the best years.
Now we move on to My View as an article by Rebecca Roncaroni. A recent discussion on Facebook was around the proposed paper to be put forward in the Houses of Parliament about people being asked to pay to see a GP or attend A&E. An opinion espoused by many covered the who's contributed and deserves NHS care. An elderly female relative who had never worked but had had 2 hip replacements was cited as someone who had not made any contribution and therefore did not warrant free treatment on the NHS. She had taken out more than she put in. This is a specious argument. Firstly, everyone who spends money in this country or uses any services pays tax, VAT, alcohol and tobacco duty, road and fuel tax, stamp duty, death duty. To name a few means that every man, woman and child pays a tax and makes a contribution. Secondly, in the foundation of the welfare state is exactly like house or car insurance. Everyone contributes hoping they never have to claim, knowing if disaster strikes they are covered. No one pays insurance expecting to get out the exact amount they put in. And finally, perhaps most importantly, if one follows the only those who contribute enough to cover their needs argument to its logical conclusion, then babies and children who have contributed nothing should receive nothing. The rich should receive a 5-star gold-plated service, and the poor should receive the bare minimum with none of the expensive procedures or drugs. The NHS was set up to respond to a need, regardless of the ability to pay, or indeed whether a person was deserving. To deny anyone the health care they need is tantamount to playing judge, jury and executioner. Please God that never happens. On another matter, as a nurse who has worked for the NHS and social services, I am becoming increasingly frustrated with the amount of moaning around cuts the Isle of Wight Council is making to some of its less important services. By less important, I'm referring to those services not involving life and death services, such as those that safeguard and care for children, vulnerable adults, the elderly and disabled. Yes, I know dog poo is a problem. There are not enough bins, and those that are overflowing, and beaches aren't being cleaned enough. I can understand that reduced hours at a tip are annoying and increased car park charges do not make happy parkers. The fewer less pretty flowers make town centres less attractive. But all of the above is with our own gift to help improve, simply by taking more responsibility and, dare I say it, being less entitled. We can all clean up the dog poo, take rubbish home, recycle properly to reduce tip trips, walk or cycle more and contribute to making our towns and villages prettier. In fact, I would go so far to say if we all took more responsibility and engaged with our local community, there will be far less loneliness and far better community cohesion, with the added benefit of less antisocial behaviour, such as littering and vandalism. We seem to have lost the art of belonging and working together. What we can't do is assess a child who is in danger and offer effective help, set up care packages to help support those with disabilities, or help the elderly who wish to stay in their own homes. Without these services, people generally suffer, and in some cases suffer horrific abuse or die, and they must always have priority. These cuts are being imposed by central government, and if we want to make a difference, we must understand who we need to lobby and why, rather than whining about peripheries and pointing a finger at those who have no power to stop the cuts. The current council administration may have had some choices over where they impose some of the cuts, but be under no illusion central government is the one cutting off the money here, and some of our most vulnerable people and their families are generally suffering.
From Malcolm Mime, Bill Stickers isn't innocent this time. With some big events coming to the island over the course of the next few weeks and months, it is incredibly important the island is looking clean and tidy, especially the gateway town of Ryde, which for many visitors is the first place they see. But it would appear there is something rotten in the borough of Ryde. Bill Stickers is in town, and he is anything but innocent. Usually when unwanted advertising posters and stickers appear in our towns, the culprits are a visiting circus or fair, or indeed a club DJ who wants you to come and listen to his banging tunes in one of the local drinking holes. The current crop of illegally placed advertising bills in Ryde, however, aren't the work of some fly-by-night who has no regard for the look of our beautiful Victorian seaside town. It has come from an island company, an estate agent called Lancaster's. Little blue stickers advertising Lancaster's have been plastered all over the town of Ryde in the past few weeks, on lampposts, phone boxes, pelican crossings, and just about anywhere else that catches the public eye. When the first batch got taken down by furious locals, they were replaced 2 weeks later with another lot. Many people won't be surprised it is an estate agent who is causing this nuisance. After all, they aren't a group of people with the greatest of reputations, although personally I have always found the estate agents on the Isle of Wight to be fairly decent creatures, who seem to genuinely care about their local surroundings and get involved in supporting and sponsoring local events and good causes. As to whether Lancaster's advertising campaign has worked, only time will tell, although a quick search of rightmove.co.uk shows they currently have no properties whatsoever for sale in Ryde, so it doesn't look like it's been an instant hit with the locals. Hopefully they will think twice about doing such a thing again. Perhaps the man to clean up Dodge City, Ryde, could be the new town mayor, Malcolm Ross. You can always rely on a Malcolm.
We move on to what's on now, and I've got quite a few events because it's Newport Isle of Wight Jazz Weekend. So I'll start with Wednesday, May the 30th. Strings Music Bar, Jazz Tuition Course, £50. Adults 25, 18 to 20 years, £10. Under 18s covers both days. That's between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And at the Mountbatten Hospice, George Manchio's Quadro is £15 with food, under 21's £12, or £8 under 21's £5, and that's 6:30 to 9 p.m. We move on to Thursday, May the 31st. Strings Music Bar is a jazz tuition course, same sort of price as before, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Apollo Theatre is Students and Tutors Concert, free but donations invited, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pisa Express, Cat Skellington, Hot Club Gypsy Jazz, Meal must be booked 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Slug and Lettuce, Diner Mix, Locals Guitar and Saxophone free, 7:30 to 9 p.m. Apollo Theatre, Nick Page's The Isle of Wight Suit, Part 2, £10, under 21s £4, that's 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Newport Minster, Cat Skellington by Candlelight, free but donations collected, 9:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Friday, June the 1st, outside of St Thomas's Square, Sol Grimshaw Trio free, that's 12:30 to 2:30. One Holyrood, Sparks at the Piano free, 12:30 to 2:30. Newport Methodist Church, Golden Moments, Bruce Adams and Craig Middleton, £8, under 21s £4, 2:45 to 4:30. Cafe Isola, Cat Skellington Hot Club Jispy Jazz free, 3 p.m. to 5:30. Apollo Theatre Skelton Skinner All Stars, £13, under 21s £4, that's 5 p.m. to 7:15. One Holyrood, Sparks at the Piano free, 6:15 to 8:15. Pizza Express, Lauren Thorne Quartet, Vocal Standards, Meal must be booked, 6:30 p.m. to 8:30. Strings Music Bar Juno's, Soul Jazz Funk free, 8 to 10:45. That's in the evening, sorry. Key Arts Theatre, Freddie Gavita Quartet, £10, under 21s 4, 8:30 p.m. to 10:30. Bargeman's Rest, Toco Bonito, Latin Salsa Big Band free, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Key Arts Cafe downstairs, Jazz Jam Sessions free, 9:30 to midnight. Saturday, June the 2nd, Newport Conservative Club, That Jazz, Traditional Jazz free, 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Key Art Theatre, Andrew McCormack, £8 and £4 from the 21s, 1 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. Bargeman's Rest, Prohibition Jazz, Traditional Jazz, £10, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Caf Isola, Sol Grimshaw and David Hendy's free, 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Bargeman's Rest, South Wight Jazz Club free, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Apollo Theatre, Derek Nash's Picante, £12 or £5 under 21s, 3:15 to 5:15. Newport Methodist Church, Sarah Dowling Quartet, £10 or £4 for under 21s, 6:30 to 8:20 p.m. Strings Music Bar, Urban Normada, £10 or £4 for under 21s, 8 p.m. to 9:15. Strings Music Bar, Alley Cats with Martin Shaw and Derek Nash, same cost as before, 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. Bargeman's Rest, Black Cat Blues Club Jam Session free, 8:30 to midnight. And finally, on Sunday, June the 3rd, Newport Minster Jazz Eucharist free but donations collected, 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Key Arts Theatre, Karen Sharp Quartet, £10, £4 for under 21s, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Bargeman's Rest, Jukebox Jazz, that's traditional jazz free, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Medina Theatre, BBC Big Band, £15, £5 under 21s, at 3 p.m. to 5:10 p.m. Medina Theatre, Isle of Wight Youth Jazz Orchestra with Derek Nash, £5 under 21s, £4, 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. Strings Music Bar, Fellowship of Groove, Alpha Beat Big Band, £5 in advance, £7 on the door, 6:30 to 10 p.m. And finally, Apollo Theatre, Claire Martin OBE with a Dave Newton Trio, £12, under 21s, £4, 8:30 to 10:30.
A Poverty, Pomp and Prosperity Independent Arts Time and Tide Cafe event is being held at Cowes Library next Friday, June the 1st, from 10:30am to 12:30pm. Taking a rich cross-section of Victorian life and labour in the island's county town, see a collection of early 19th century photographs from the Door collection, Isle of Wight Heritage Services, together with some arresting documents from the Public Records Office, offering a fascinating flavour of life from the House of Industry to the growth of civic pride and the bustling life of the High Street. No need to book, just go along and there are refreshments provided. The Sandown and District Historical Association will meet at the Methodist Church, York Road, Sandown, on Wednesday at 7pm for a talk on the First World War on the Isle of Wight by David Langford. The Sandown-based Corkhead Strollers Disabled Walking Football Club holds a training session on Thursday at the Rue Valley Sports Centre, Ventnor, from 5:30pm until 6:30pm. All men or women with disabilities who can walk unaided, aged 18 to 70, are welcome. Newcomers are free for the first week and then £3.
We move on to other bits of news.
Testing times for Marines. West Wight became a Royal Marine training ground as 9 Marines travelled to the island to prepare for a future Norway mission. The challenging coastal terrain, strong tidal flows, cave system and large seas made freshwater Yarmouth and Newtown the perfect setting for aquatic first aid training, diver training and kayaking practice. In June, the team will embark on a 2,000-mile journey along the coast of Norway, cycling an average of 200 kilometres and sea kayaking about 50 kilometres a day. This will culminate in a 75th anniversary commemoration of the famous Telemark raids, the successful Allied operation that halted Nazi Germany's programme to create a nuclear weapon. Captain Tim Pitcher, director of the project and originally from Cowes, said, "Training in the place where I grew up was an amazing touch to a project that has been 15 months in the making. As ever, the island provided us with more than we could have wished for. Good weather, varied training environments and a location to get some dramatic images before we set off in June. The most challenging aspect of the week was what is known as threading the needles. With a strong tidal race in between each needle stack, there are choppy seas and quick flows to paddle in and against. Throughout the challenge, the Norway 75 team aims to help raise awareness and funds for the Royal Marines charity and its efforts to support good mental health."
Bus driver parties with passengers. Bus driver Jacqueline Levy is so popular with her passengers they even went to her birthday party. Southern Vectis Route 6 regulars who attended Jacqueline's birthday party at the George Inn, Newport, said she was a truly special person and always had time for a chat. Passenger Jan Chalmers said, "My husband Keith is in hospital and has been for 6 weeks. I use the bus every day to visit him. It's wonderful having Jacqueline as a driver who asks after him without fail. She has a genuine care for all her customers." Fellow passenger Jean McCallum said, "Jacqueline knows all our names and she even checks to ensure windows en route are either shut or open as expected." Doreen Taylor added, "We don't tell anyone it's our birthday as Jacqueline makes us all sing along." Regular passengers Molly and Paul Lucas said, "This route through Chillerton, Chale and Knighton to Ventnor is quite simply a lifeline to us. We don't drive anymore and look forward to our journeys with Jacqueline. She makes the trip fun and we've never known anyone like her." Last year, Jacqueline organised a Christmas meal for everyone at the White Lion, Knighton, and during the bad weather brought by the beasts from the east earlier this year, offered a stranded passenger a room for the night. She said, I think it's so important to build strong relationships with those who travel along this route. Many of them no longer drive and some don't seem to chat to people at other times of the day. I was so pleased to celebrate my birthday with them.
Children get busy greening the station. Green-fingered primary school children rallied round to plant flowers and herbs at Sandown Station following recent vandalism. Children and their teachers from the Bay CE Primary School filled planters with colourful blooms and native herbs, replacing plants removed or damaged by vandals earlier this year. Wreckers had not only removed hanging baskets and other floral arrangements from outside the station and on the platform, but they also damaged the station's popular gaslight cafe and toilet. It has all now been repaired. Herbs were courtesy of lottery-funded Grow Wild at Kew Gardens and Alice Thorpe, Community Gardens coordinator at Aspire Ride, helped plant them. Morrison's Supermarket also donated plants. Youngsters from the school had already planted 10 fruit trees given by Graham Deacon of Deacon's Nursery, Godsill, at the station. Today's event, organised by Bill Wight, who runs the after-school club, Community Kids, was attended by Sandown North Councillor Debbie Andre and Community Rail Partnership Officer Bobby Lockdean. Mr. Wight said the children did a wonderful job. They were really enthusiastic and with the help of their teachers replaced many damaged plants. The station looks a lot better now.
Ireland's first vegan restaurant opens. The island's first dedicated vegan restaurant has opened in Ventnor. Diners flock into the opening night at Pulse on Saturday, and it was so busy there were 4 sittings, one each fully booked. Proprietor Sandra O'Toole said it had long been her dream to open a restaurant. When she saw the Pier Street property, formerly the El Toro Contento Tapas restaurant, was available, she decided it was now or never. People say you have to follow your passions, and they're right, said Sandra of 54 Ventnor High Street. Sandra founded the Isle of Wight Vegan Festival and used to have a mobile catering unit she would take to festivals around the country. In recent years, however, she has suffered with spinal arthritis and it became too physically demanding. When asked if she had spotted a gap in the market as more people chose a vegan diet, she said, I'm not that clever, it's something I've wanted to do for a while because there's nowhere for me to eat. I'm taking a big chance by starting my own business and doing it on a shoestring, but already it feels my little haven. A committed vegan, Sandra said a plant-based diet was kinder, healthier and better for the planet. The menu featured parsnip and watercress soup, bruschetta with salsa verde, courgette with roasted vegetable chili, dal and carrot cake ice cream with fig coulis. And that's us. That's goodbye for me.
And it's goodbye from Madeline. Have a good weekend.
Vectis Radio, FM 104.6, Isle of Wight's community station.
Right, you're listening to the afternoon show with me, Kelvin.
And me, Maggie.
And we have our next set of guests in.
We do. We have the lovely Chris and the lovely Laura.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
And they're from Insight for Wight.
Well, we're from Sight for Wight, from the Insight to Wight. Yes, it's very complicated, but you're from Sight for Wight.
Yes, we are.
And you come in on a regular basis as what's going on. So what is going on at Sight for Wight currently?
Well, last month we focused on volunteering.
Yes.
And this month we would like to focus on our member services. And Laura is our member services lady. So I'm going to let Laura tell you about some of the stuff that we're getting up to.
Okay, so yeah, member services, that's obviously very important for people who have got poorer sight on the island.
Yes, and we're trying to, we did a survey last year and asked people what they wanted us to do for them. So now we're working our way through the answers and trying to accommodate everybody with our activities.
So it makes a change for an organisation to actually say, what is it you want us to do, rather than this is what we think you need.
Yes, yeah, it just gave us a bit more of an idea of what what people wanted us to do. So top of the list were food activities. So we had a trip out to Rosemary.
Throwing food at each other? Or?
We had a trip to Rosemary Vineyard. That was lovely.
Okay, hang on a minute. You said food. You start off with wine straight away.
Yeah.
As you would.
They have a cafe, so there was food.
Oh, that's your excuse.
And
Go
we
on.
went for lunch, so there was food. But yes, it was lovely there. They were very friendly and took us on a tour. And then we had a lot of samples from their products, so that was lovely. We've also had requests to do more sort of sporty activities, as it were. So we've just advertised that we're going to attempt to do some kayaking later on in the year, which should be nice on tandem kayaks. So yeah, lots of things going on.
So are you actually? Was their list different from what you were providing in any way, or just added to?
Yes, I think we were doing more activities based at our at Millbrook House,
right?
Which is in Newport. So our idea is that we're going to attempt to go out to more places around the island, so that people who find it difficult to get to Newport will have more of an opportunity to join in with different things.
Right.
So yesterday we did pottery, just over at the place over there, I can't remember the name, Jubilee Stores. That was wonderful. They were really good. Then of course Rosemary Vineyard was out in the ride area. So yeah, we're just looking.
So it gets people out and about as well.
Yeah.
So with these events, do you provide transport, or do people make their own way to them?
We have got a minibus. It really depends on who's coming from where and how many of our wonderful volunteers we've got helping. So for Rosemary Vineyard, we all took our cars. So volunteers use their transport, and we all just got in cars. Yesterday I used my car. So yeah, it just depends on where we're going and how many people are coming.
Okay. And what sort of things have you got coming up in the future then?
Well, we have a supper club coming up. So that's just gone out with our latest newsletter. That's going to be sort of on a sort of every couple of months. People will meet and they'll break it up so that some people will do the cooking, some people will do the serving, some people will do the eating.
Some people will do the washing up.
Yeah, some people will do the washing up.
Some people will do a combination of all of them.
Yes, yeah. So we've got that coming up.
And where's that going to be?
That probably will be at Millbrook House, just because we've got the kitchen available there.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. So, and then there's a few other things that we've got planned. We've been invited to the Royal Victoria Yacht Club.
Yes.
Right. They do their open day, so we've been invited to that.
Yeah.
I think it's like an annual event that we go to.
It's nice down there.
Yeah. And then there's some other things that we haven't advertised yet. So watch this space.
You're listening to FM 104.6 with me, Kelvin.
And I'm Maggie.
And we've still got our guests in. We've got Chris.
Hello.
And
Laura.
Hello. Now, Chris, you wanted to say hello to somebody, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd like to say hello to Chris, Lisa, and Susan, who are all listening in at our site for Wight base.
Huddled around the radio.
I should hope so.
Huddled around the radio
Yes.
to keep warm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good afternoon to you up there. Now get back to work.
Right. That's it, yeah.
So, you were going to recap on some of the stuff you've got coming up in terms of member services.
Well, more so with regards to some of the outside events
Yes.
we've got coming up. Yeah.
All right.
We've just we did Riverfest last Saturday.
How did that go?
It was a trickle of.
It was sunny.
It was sunny.
It was a lovely day. I think that it's unfortunate that they called the royal wedding for the same day.
Yes.
But,
And the FA Cup.
And the
FA
FA
Cup, yeah. But generally, it wasn't a bad. It was a steady trickle of people.
But it's an awareness thing, so you were there.
Yeah.
Did you sell many sunglasses?
Actually, we sold a couple of pairs.
Yeah. We took along some sim specs that you can put on to give you an idea of what visual impairment's like. They were very popular. We had people of all ages trying them on, and they're very good. They do give you a good idea of what it would be like to not have your full vision.
Right.
So that was very popular.
So you've done that one.
Yes, the next one coming up is the Rhythm Tree Festival.
Oh, yes.
Which is the 13th to the 15th of July. So that's a new one for us.
Okay, that's supposed to be a really laid-back festival, that one. I've actually been to it myself.
Well, they're expecting about 3,500 people.
Oh, right,
So,
good.
that's great to get
Awareness building.
Get awareness and show people our sunglasses.
Yes, you've got some really good sunglasses. I keep plugging these. They're good.
Good, yeah.
Excellent value too.
I see you've
I
got
need
the poster
I
up.
need a couple more pairs.
We can sort that out, no problem, Maggie. Then, of course, we've got Pride UK.
Yes.
Now that is going to be a massive weekend.
30,000 people expected.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So that'll be a good few pairs of sunglasses.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yes. Yes.
I imagine there'll be quite a few people now they know that Conchita's coming.
Yes, I heard about that just recently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, the day after they got the ride slide, haven't they?
Oh, is it really the next day?
Yeah.
Yes, on the Sunday.
Okay.
So
Don't think you want to be at the bottom of that
No.
with your sunglasses.
So-
Have a look at this.
Sites for Wight are going to be all those events. You've got some more coming up as
Yes,
well?
we do. We've got our traditional, what we call our traditional shows. We're doing the Chail Show,
Yeah.
the Island Steam Show, Wolverton Manor, that kind of thing. But the other new show we're going to be doing is the Island Con in October. In fact,
Oh,
Laura
yeah.
and
Oh,
myself.
right. Oh, that's a
I
surprise.
can't imagine you wanting to be there, Chris.
What makes you think? No, not at all.
No, but I'm pleased that that's gone from strength to strength.
Yes.
And I'm so pleased that's happened because
Yeah,
it's
it's
something else
brilliant.
to attract people to the island. But you're going to be there.
Yeah, and it's nice that it's at Cowes Enterprise College this year.
Oh, right.
So a lot more space. I think it was at Northwood House
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
So it's,
So you've
it's-
outgrown it already. I mean,
Yeah. So Laura and I potentially are going to be dressing up.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I'm
So
not
we
gonna be a
will
Dalek.
definitely
Any
get some.
excuse.
We
to
get some
dress.
photographs of that then, I think.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that,
sure, yeah.
that's I nearly called it Comic Con. I'll get a shot. It's Island Con.
It's Island Con, yeah, but basically it's Comic Con.
Yeah,
really.
but no, I mean it's a serious business. Is comic collecting. So
Yeah.
Got some big names, haven't they, coming as well?
They have, and off the top of my head, I can't think of who they are. But I wasn't sure whether Sylvester McCoy was going. I think he is. I'm sure.
I don't
I heard
know.
a rumor that he might be going.
You'll get trampled in a rush by our Jonathan Bacon then, because he's a big Doctor Who fan.
Oh, really?
Yes. I can't think of any others offhand.
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Power
yes.
Rangers. Oh,
Somebody
right. So
from
this
Jay
is
and
this is people laugh at this stuff, but it is a big exhibition, and
It is,
you will be
yes.
there.
It's very, very
when's that
popular.
again?
That one is the 20th to the 21st of October.
Okay, so we're pushing ahead into the autumn now.
Into the autumn, yeah.
Okay.
But
That's-
one last thing with the sunglasses, we are going to be doing a competition. So when we're out and about at our events,
Right.
if people buy our sunglasses, they can potentially enter our competition where we are going to ask people to have a photograph wearing our sunglasses by, an exciting background, possibly with a celebrity, but something unusual that stands out whilst you're wearing our Sight for White glasses.
Okay.
And prizes are available.
But
Oh.
it cannot be photoshopped.
No Photoshop.
No, you've got
Gotta
I
be
don't
real.
know any
you've got
celebrities.
FBI experts who will be able to tell that. haven't
Yes.
you? Yeah, absolutely. They'll work out who is going to, whether it's been photoshopped or not. Yes, proper ones.
Yes.
So,
Oh, yeah.
so we've got that, and you got some food-based ones coming up for your actual members. So you've got loads of things going on. How can people get hold of you and find out more?
Several ways.
Yeah.
Either if you go to our website, wsb.org.uk, you can contact us via their Facebook page. We have a good Facebook page, lots of stuff going on there.
Or our telephone, 522205.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can find out what's going on. And it may be that you may not be sight impaired yourself, but you may have relatives or friends that are who don't know that Sight for White actually exists, which is possible.
Yeah, and also we're looking for volunteers as well. So, there's always
Yeah.
something to do. If you've got a couple of hours a week to spare, we've got our Dress for Less agency in
Oh,
Newport.
yes. Just tell us a bit more about that.
Dress for Less is our what we call our 50/50 boutique.
Mhm.
Basically, you can bring in high-end quality clothing, and we can sell it for you. So 50% stays with the society, and 50% goes to the person that was bringing in the clothes. So everyone's a winner.
And
really.
where is it?
It's 114 St James Street. We're virtually opposite Man in the Moon.
Okay, opposite Moonspoons. We've got
Moonspoons. Yes, yeah.
we've got Dress for Less, and it's under new management, isn't it?
It is, yeah. A new lady, Debbie. She's brilliant. So lots of exciting changes. We're also doing our Friday fashion promos again. So that's got a new format. And if anyone's interested in even being one of our presenters, then just get in touch with us and we can sort something out.
Call Sight for White and ask for Chris. He'll
Yes.
sort you out with anything you need to know.
Yeah, or Laura.
No, just call and ask for Chris.
So Site for White, it's at Millbrook House, which is Carrisbrook, as we know. A lovely old building with a little bit of parking if you need to go and visit.
Yeah.
Don't always guarantee it, but there's a little bit of parking there. And it's a funny one-way system around the back of Carrisbrook.
It is.
Yeah, you'll find it.
It's a lovely little place.
It is a very nice place.
Very nice people there.
Very nice people.
Very nice people.
They're always very welcoming.
Yeah, they're always very welcoming.
Thank
do
you.
a nice cup of tea there.
They do, yeah. Well, I don't know, because I don't drink tea.
But Site for White in Carrisbrook, just Google Site for White, to be honest, and you'll find them, and you'll get to know about all the events.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Brilliant.
Always a pleasure.
Vectis Radio, FM 104.6, Isle of Wight's community station.
Site for Wight, Isle of Wight Society for the Blind, May 2018 newsletter. Millbrook House, 137 Carrisbrook Road, Newport, Isle of Wight. PO 30 1DD. The telephone number is 01983 522205. The email address members@iwsb.org.uk, and the website is www.iwsb.org.uk.
And we start with a message from the chairman. We are now officially Site for Wight, with a new logo and strapline on all the Society's paperwork. This has been a major step forward and is helping to raise the profile and modernise our organisation. Our new finance officer, Lisa Hollyhead, started in January and, with her business acumen and experience, is proving to be a very beneficial new member of staff. Debbie Durbridge has taken over as manager of Dress for Less from the 1st of May following Julie's retirement. She has settled in well and has been warmly accepted by customers and volunteers. Debbie has a lot of drive and commitment and is determined to increase the turnover at Dress for Less. Chris Biles has become a trustee, and I'm looking forward to formally welcoming him as a board member in our May meeting. As you will notice on our website, there is detailed information about our recent AGM, where various questions have been answered in great detail. We can now look forward and concentrate on our members and future activities. On the 19th of April, I attended a very successful evening put on by our patrons Bob and Carol Bridgestock at the Riverside Centre. The presentation was called Murder Behind the Scenes, with a question and answer session at the end about Bob's career as a high-ranking police officer in the police force. That's Paul Rutherford, Chairman.
Spring message from the CEO. As a keen gardener, May is always one of my favourite months. For me, and I imagine for many, feeling the warmth of the sun, especially after such a cold, wet winter, listening to joyous birdsong, enjoying the scent of early blossom and the fresh growth emerge on trees and perennial favourites, they all evoke feelings of optimism and energy for the summer ahead. Following the completion of my first year in post as Chief Executive, for me, the start of the new financial year brings similar feelings of optimism and energy inspired by the plans for the year ahead. With many positive changes made during the course of the past year now bedding in, Site for Wight has several new initiatives in planning and progress, some of which you will find details of later in this newsletter. Many of these are directly connected to services and activities for members affected by sight loss, while others relate to fundraising initiatives. As ever, as a charity, an employer and a company limited by guarantee, we are also required to remain abreast of all regulatory changes.
Member Services. Last year's members' survey identified the strong interest in food and drink activities, as evidenced by the recent successful visit to Rosemary Vineyard, reported in full later in the newsletter. A related idea I would personally enjoy exploring and hosting is the possible establishment of a periodic Sight for Wight supper club. The idea behind this is to establish a group who might meet every couple of months on a Wednesday evening at Millbrook House to plan, prepare, cook, serve and eat 2-course suppers to be enjoyed together. Consideration would be given to preparing healthy, nutritionally balanced meals on a budget. Most importantly, this is an opportunity to support and share experience on independent living, producing food that is tasty in a sociable and relaxed setting. To manage the practicalities, it is anticipated that on each occasion the supper club meets to cook. There will be a division of labour into 3 groups. One group will prepare and cook the food, another group will lay the table, oversee food service and clearing, and the third group will be planning the menu and preparing the shopping list and costings ready for the next supper club, when it will be their turn to take responsibility for the preparation and cooking. To ensure that all participants experience a fair share of cooking, service and planning, members will be required to commit to each of the 4 dates at the outset. The 4 dates proposed, all at Millbrook House, to run from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. are as follows.
Wednesday, 4th of July 2018, introduction to the Supper Club food hygiene awareness training for all participating members and volunteers, and then identification of groups, all whilst enjoying some cheese and wine tasting or similar depending upon dietary needs. Then operating the group system described above in rotation, enjoying suppers together on Wednesday the 5th of September, Wednesday the 7th of November and Wednesday the 9th of January 2019. Members will be required to contribute £5 per session to cover ingredients costs, plus a contribution towards any transport provided. Members and volunteers interested in this idea are asked to complete the separately enclosed Supper Club Expression of Interest form. As always, activities will only be viable if sufficient members and volunteers register an interest. The Supper Club might work best between 8 to 12 members, supported by 3 to 4 sighted volunteers. The deadline for submitting an expression of interest is Friday, 15th of June 2018.
Fundraising, income generation and legacies. In preparation for the many events and outreach activities we have scheduled for the year ahead, it was really pleasing to welcome a number of volunteers for the training briefing session for volunteer ambassadors held recently. A number are sporting Sight for Wight sunglasses, which, based on early sales, we are confident are going to be a great success this year in enabling us to readily engage with a wide range of visitors to the many island events and shows we plan on attending, whilst also generating some profit from sales. In terms of fundraising, the target for the year ahead is considerable. More emphasis will be made in future on endeavouring to secure funding by way of grants or trust funds, and this task will fall mainly to me as Chief Executive. An example of where Sight for Wight would like to be able to undertake more work is through the promotion of our services and the needs of our members as part of an education outreach programme that we would like to develop initially for primary age children on the island. It is probable that funding will be sought initially to develop a programme that clearly links to the national curriculum and can be delivered in assemblies. We would then like pilot and evaluate the programme. If we can demonstrate the merit and value of such a programme, it might then be possible to seek more significant funding to roll out a wider programme to reach all primary pupils over a period of years. In terms of fundraising, legacies have, in most recent years, provided the greatest source of income. You will appreciate from the accounts recently published for the year ended March 2017 that we enjoyed overall successful financial results, largely thanks to the significant amount received in legacies, amounting to £206,759. However, it is concerning to note that in the current year to March 2018, our income from legacies was very much smaller. Of course, legacy income cannot easily be predicted and can never be guaranteed. One of the reasons to broaden our fundraising strategy is because it is widely recognised that, as we generally enjoy longer lives, many of us can expect to spend our later years in expensive residential care, depleting estates that might otherwise have benefited family, friends, and chosen charitable causes. Nevertheless, Sight for Wight will make stronger efforts to promote the services supported by the charity and the positive benefits that accrue as a result, and thus encourage supporters to think about us in their will. The Trustee Board recently reviewed our legacy policy and, from April 2018, we will be applying any legacy income received between £10,000 and £500,000 as follows. 75% will be dedicated to supporting member services, 10% will be invested to generate future income for Sight for Wight, and 15% will be used supporting fundraising and governance. This significant policy revision will be widely promoted, and it is planned that a new legacy leaflet will be produced towards the end of 2018, with relevant quotations, case studies and photographs that clearly evidence the value of the services and the support we provide to encourage islanders to think about leaving Sight for Wight a gift in their will.
Governance and regulatory change. A very significant regulatory change currently impacting on Sight for Wight, and indeed every other organisation that holds any personal data, is the introduction of new data protection legislation, coming into effect later this month. The General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, expands and enhances the key provisions formally required by the current Data Protection Act, which it will replace. As part of our preparation for the introduction of GDPR, we are introducing a single database with more sophisticated security and access features to ensure that we retain only accurate, relevant data, with only those details accessible to named staff or volunteers necessary for managing contacts and services for the members, volunteers, guarantor members, employees, supporters and funders. We are also in the process of updating our privacy policies, which will shortly be available on the website and circulated as appropriate.
Millbrook House Working Party members' nominations sought. Those who attended the recent AGM or who have subsequently read my address to that meeting, which is available on the website, will be aware that at the early March meeting of trustees, it was agreed that we formally review the use of Millbrook House to identify if it is the best option for accommodating the variety of needs of Sight for Wight as an administrative and operational base. To ensure that the fullest consideration is given to this, nominations are sought to join a small working party that will meet periodically at Millbrook House and possibly elsewhere. the working party will be invited to contribute to a report that will be prepared by me as CEO to be presented to the trustees early in 2019 to inform and assist their strategic planning and decision making. Would those interested in joining the working party please complete a nomination form, enclosed as a separate sheet, and return it to Millbrook House by Wednesday, 18th of July. The two formal meetings of the working party are scheduled for Tuesday the 11th of September, 3:30pm to 4:30pm, and Tuesday 20th November, 2pm to 3pm. In addition, working party members will be invited to undertake visits to some other premises between the first formal meeting in September and the second meeting in November. Trusting this provides a useful insight into our plans over the coming months, I hope you have had the opportunity to enjoy reading everything packed into this edition of the newsletter, whilst enjoying the warmth of some spring sunshine. Miriam Tong, Chief Executive, IWSB.
My Guide training. Guide Dogs Southampton Mobility Team visited Sight for Wight on the 26th and 27th of March to offer the My Guide sighted guide training to volunteers and to train 2 members of staff to deliver the training themselves. Sight for Wight has agreed to become an associate organisation with Guide Dogs and will be delivering the My Guide service locally to benefit visually impaired people on the island. If you have a few hours to spare each week and would like to help a person living with sight loss get out and about in their local community, or know someone that would, please contact either Sight for Wight on 01983 522205 or members@iwsb.org.uk, or Guide Dogs on 01189 838892, or southampton@guidedogs.org.uk. That's from Laura, Miriam and the My Guide team.
Visit to Rosemary Vineyard. Members and volunteers enjoyed a morning at Rosemary Vineyard on the 23rd of April. If you've never been, we can highly recommend a visit. The friendly staff were happy to give us a guided tour, and we particularly enjoyed the free tasting session. We followed our visit to the vineyard with lunch at Apley Manor in Ryde. As usual, it was good value and very tasty. We will be advertising future activities in our newsletters, on our website and Facebook page, and via the Talking News. That's from Laura Jasper, the Members Services Manager.
Low Vision Day, May 2018. On Thursday the 3rd of May we held a Low Vision Day at Millbrook House from 2:30pm till 6:30pm. We were joined by Giles from Enhanced Vision, Dave from Dolphin Software, Calibra and a digital expert from Age UK. The Sight for Wight resource room was also on display with various low vision aids and equipment available to try out and purchase. It was an enjoyable and busy afternoon with up-to-date technology on display and plenty of information available. We were lucky with the weather and many of the visitors enjoyed refreshments on our sunny patio. Our next Low Vision Day is scheduled for Wednesday the 19th of September 2018 from 10am till 3pm. Confirmed so far are Professional Vision Services, Dolphin and the Age UK Digital Expert. And again, that's from Laura Jasper, Member Services Manager.
Member Services. The Audio Book Club is going well at Lord Louis Library in Newport. We have been joined by Lester Williams, a volunteer with a background in teaching, who facilitates interesting discussions about the monthly book. The group is held on the second Wednesday of each month at 2pm in the library. We read and then discuss a different book each month, whilst enjoying a cup of tea or coffee. If you would like to join us, just come along. The monthly book is available on CD or USB stick format. I have been attending the My Place community drop-in session at the West Wight Sports Centre in Freshwater on a monthly basis. It is a friendly social event where different organisations meet to offer support and advice, and refreshments are available. I take a selection of low vision aids and equipment and offer information on the services we provide. All members are welcome to come along, even if it's just to say hello and have a cup of tea. If there is a particular piece of equipment you wish me to take, please contact me on 522205 and I can arrange this for you. I'll be there on the following dates from 10 a.m. till 12 noon. Tuesday 15th of May, Tuesday 19th of June, Tuesday 24th of July, Tuesday 21st of August. A new event which I will be attending is the Ask at Aspire drop-in at Aspire in Dover Street Ride. I will be there with other organisations including Optio, Age Friendly Ireland and the Footprint Trust to give information about Sight for Wight. That will be on Monday 14th of May 10 a.m. till 12 noon, Monday 11th of June 12 noon till 2 p.m, Monday 9th of July 12 noon till 2 p.m. Laura Jasper, Member Services Manager.
Dress for Less. Hello, my name is Debbie Durbridge and I am the new shop manager at Dress for Less charity boutique in Newport. I was born in Wimbledon, South London, and moved to the Isle of Wight when I was 6 years old. I attended Medina High School before taking up a hairdressing apprenticeship at Jack's in Newport. In 1995 I moved to London to marry my husband, who was born on the island, and continued hairdressing, which included a televised fashion show and magazine photo shoots. I subsequently opened my own business and established a large and loyal clientele base. More recently, I trained and became a leader of a charity-supported club for those diagnosed with early-stage dementia. My husband and I returned to the island in late 2017, where we have settled into our dream home. I am delighted to be the new manager at Dress for Less, which fulfil my desire to work for an island-specific charity, Sight for Wight, alongside a wonderful group of volunteers. In doing so, I have already met a good number of friendly customers, a few of whom remembered me from my early island days. I look forward to meeting many more, both current and new, in the coming months. And that's Debbie Durbridge, Dress for Less Manager.
Murder behind the scenes. On Thursday 19th of April, Bob and Carol Bridgestock, patrons for Sight for Wight, kindly gave up their time to come and host a Murder behind the scenes event. It was based on their CBS reality television appearance, Written in Blood, Episode 7, where Bob talked about his time in the police force and how he and his colleagues were able to solve a particularly horrific crime. After the screening of the programme, there was a question and answer session. It was a full house at Riverside Centre, and supporting Bob and Carol were Maggie and Calvin Curry from Vectis Radio, who were on hand to interview guests and help promote Sight for Wight. I organised the event and was supported by Michelle Taylor, volunteer manager, ensuring the smooth running of the evening. Miriam Tong, CEO, was doing a grand job selling the new Sight for Wight sunglasses, and altogether approximately £350 was raised. Chris Kane, Marketing, Communications and Fundraising Manager.
In Sight for Wight at Vectis Radio. Maggie and Kelvin Curry from Vectis Radio are great supporters of Sight for Wight and have very kindly given us a monthly radio slot called Insight for Wight. Each month, Sight for Wight will broadcast on Vectis Radio and discuss current events and activities as well as keeping people up to date with what's happening. In April, Michelle Taylor and Chris Kane discussed volunteer opportunities at Sight for Wight. Our next broadcast will be on Tuesday the 22nd of May at 2:30 p.m. Tune in on 104.6 FM or listen online at www.vectisradio.com.
Ride Swimming Group turns 20. Congratulations from Sight for Wight. Keep swimming for another 20 years. The 3rd of February 2018 marked the 20-year anniversary of the swimming group. It started at the Medina swimming pool in Newport in 1998, before moving to the waterside pool in Ryde. A celebratory dinner was held at the George Hotel in Newport, and a cake was presented to the group from Sight for Wight. We wish the group well and hope it continues for many years to come.
Quiz at the Cricket Club. A very successful quiz was held at New Close Cricket Club, just outside Newport, on Friday the 4th of May. This is a monthly event and a different charity is chosen to receive the proceeds each month. A total of £316 was raised for the charity, which is an amazing amount. The quiz is organised and run by Tracy and Pete, and our charity was put forward by Roy Perry, a Sight for Wight member. Many thanks to them all. The venue was packed with 21 teams and it was a very enjoyable evening. Unfortunately, none of the Sight for Wight teams won, but we didn't come last either.
Ryde Optician and Hearing Centre Open Day. I was invited to the official opening of Ryde Opticians and Hearing Care in Union Street, Ryde on Friday the 4th of May. The opticians used to be owned by Vision Express until the recent reshuffle after it merged with Tesco Opticians. It is now an independent opticians offering a friendly service combined with the state-of-the-art technology and a wide range of frames and lenses. The practice was officially opened by the Mayor of Ryde Town Council, Henry Adams. A raffle was held and all proceeds will be donated to Sight for Wight, along with an ongoing collection which has been raised through donations for day-to-day repairs and adjustments of glasses. Many thanks to all the staff for supporting our charity and for inviting me to their special day. It's from Laura Jasper, Member Services Manager.
Volunteer News Round. Welcome. We are pleased to welcome 9 new volunteers to our team. Our new volunteers support the Society with finance administration, walking escorts, events ambassadors and minibus escorting. Au revoir. Sadly, we have said goodbye to 4 volunteers, 3 from Dress for Less, 2 of whom are looking forward to their retirement and we wish them well. Our new manager is enjoying her role at the shop and getting to meet members of the team. We continue to recruit volunteers to support Debbie and the team in the shop. Volunteer vacancies. We have volunteer vacancies in various roles. For example, minibus escort, home visitors, walking buddy escorts, Dress for Less, retail volunteers and lead volunteers, and fundraising throughout the summer months. Should you know anyone who may be interested, please let me know and I will be happy to send an application pack or discuss the various volunteer roles available. Fundraising via bucket collections at supermarkets. Supermarkets across the island have agreed to support Sight for Wight with fundraising by way of bucket collections. We desperately need volunteers to support this, either morning or afternoons, on the following dates: Saturday the 9th of June, Saturday the 28th of July, Saturday the 11th of August, Friday the 14th of September and Saturday the 15th of September. Please contact me if you are able to help. Morning sessions are 10 a.m. till 1 p.m. and afternoon sessions are 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. My guide training. Several of our volunteers attended this training session and the feedback and skills gained has been really positive. 2 members of staff are undertaking a further session to deliver the same training, so there will be the opportunity to attend later in the year for those volunteers who wish to extend their skills further. Volunteer Thank You Party, the 7th of June 2018. The invitations for the volunteer party have been delivered, and I hope all volunteers will be able to come along to what is going to be a fun afternoon and give me the opportunity to thank you all personally for your ongoing support. Thank you again for the time and dedication you give to the Society so generously. That's from Michelle Taylor, the Volunteers Manager.
Gary Harbour from the Isle of Wight Zoo entertains the Wednesday social group. Wednesday the 11th of April saw a full house for the Wednesday social group with a visit from Gary Harbour, zookeeper at Isle of Wight Zoo. This was his second visit to Sight for Wight following a very popular afternoon last year, and this year he returned with even more animals. Everyone had a fantastic time thanks to Gary's genial hosting and the chance to meet and hold a python, tortoise, gecko, cockroach, tenrec, guinea pig and a chicken. Gary took a day's leave to come along and entertain the group, so a huge thank you to him. Thanks also to the Isle of Wight Zoo for loaning the animals, and a special thank you to Linda for loaning the chicken. And there's some beautiful photographs of all the members enjoying themselves.
Member feedback. It's always good to get feedback, and we welcome comments and suggestions from all members and volunteers. Here is some of the feedback we have received recently. I had a lovely afternoon at the Wednesday social group meeting Animals from the Zoo. I especially enjoyed my time with the python. It was lovely to see the gecko, but I was not so keen on the cockroach. Gary was a brilliant speaker and went around to everyone, answering their questions and telling everyone about the different animals, which was lovely. Renee Badger, member. I joined the outing to Rosemary Vineyard as a sighted guide. I found it to be very informative, and the staff were all so friendly and welcoming. I particularly enjoyed the wine tasting and the delicious cake in the cafe. It was a really enjoyable morning and I would go again. Sue Rutherford, volunteer. If you would like to send us feedback, please contact Chris Kane on 01983 522205 or email admin@iwsb.org.uk.
Meet our new event ambassadors. Sight for Wight is delighted to announce we have a new team of volunteer ambassadors who you will see over the coming months at shows and events. These specially trained volunteers will be able to demonstrate basic low vision equipment and help to deliver our core charity objectives. Providing support and information, supporting services and activities, promoting well-being, promoting avoidable sight loss. Not only will we be showcasing some of the low vision equipment, we will also be selling our very trendy sunglasses, modelled and thanks to Lawrence Welling. They're available in 4 colours, black, white, blue and red, together with a pen torch and key ring torch with prices as follows. Sunglasses, £3 each or 2 for £5. Pen torch, £2.50 each or 5 for £10. Or a keyring torch for £3 each.
What's on at Sight for Wight? Ride Swimming Group. Our swimming group meets every Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. till 8:45 p.m. at the Waterside Pool in Ryde. They have exclusive use of the pool during this session. The group is open to any visually impaired person who is a keen swimmer or who just enjoys being in the water. The pool's lifeguards are in attendance during the session. Pre-registering with the society is essential, otherwise you may be refused admittance.
Wednesday coffee morning. We hold a coffee morning each week on a Wednesday at Millbrook House from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. All are welcome to join us for a cup of tea or coffee and cake. The cost is £1 and the group is open to all, not just members. On the first Wednesday of each month, we are joined by the Macular Society for their monthly meet-up.
Wednesday low vision drop-in. Every Wednesday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. we hold a low vision drop-in session. This coincides with the coffee morning and allows you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at the Society without the need for an appointment. If this time is not suitable for you, then you are welcome to call the Society to make an appointment to view our low vision equipment.
Wednesday social group. Our Wednesday social group meets every fortnight from 2 p.m. at Millbrook House. The group have different speakers who come to give talks on a variety of subjects. These have ranged from singers to ghost talks. After the talk, the group chat over a cup of tea or coffee before going home. This group is open to non-members, but please register your interest in advance.
Thursday social group. The Thursday social group meets every week from 10:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Millbrook House, where they engage with other visually impaired people. They socialise and enjoy lunch together. In the afternoon, the group welcome volunteers who come in to read from various books about local history, general fiction, or a more popular choice, comedy. This group is open to non-members, but please register your interest in advance.
Monthly book group. Sight for Wight hold a book group on the second Wednesday of each month at Lord Louis Library in Newport. The group runs from 2 p.m. for about an hour. We discuss the last month's book and then hand out the book for the next month. Books are available on USB stick or CD. Refreshments are provided and guide dogs are welcome. There is no charge to join the book group. If you would like more information, please call Laura Jasper on 01983 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Strollers. Strollers meet on the second Tuesday of the month. They go for gentle strolls, enjoying the countryside or coastal views. This is followed by lunch at a pub or restaurant. The group is open to all visually impaired people who like a leisurely walk of about a mile.
Striders. Striders meet on the last Friday of every month. They walk on different routes around the island and finish off with lunch at a local pub or restaurant. This group is open to all visually impaired people who like longer walks in the countryside.
Bowling. The bowling group meets once a month at LA Bowl in Ryde. The cost is £3.95 for 2 games. This group is open to all visually impaired people. Please note, there is no transport for this group.
Golf. The golfers meet once a month on a Sunday morning at Westridge Golf Club, Ryde. The group go onto the driving ranges and out onto the course. An instructor is available to help out beginners. The golf session lasts around an hour and is followed by refreshments and a chat in the cafe.
If you're interested in joining any of the activities, please contact the Society for more information on 01983 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. Transport may be available to some of the groups.
Summer activities. Royal Victoria Yacht Club Open Day. Once again, the Royal Victoria Yacht Club has invited Sight for Wight along to their annual Open Day for people with disabilities, which is being held on Saturday the 30th of June. This is always a very popular day out, with a chance to enjoy a fast rib ride to Osborne Bay or a slower cruise up Wootton Creek. Shoreside, guests are treated to refreshments and music, and there is usually a tombola. As usual, this promises to be a great day out. If you wish to join us, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or members@iwsb.org.uk to register your interest, as we have been reserved a set number of spaces.
Kayaking session. Come and enjoy an hour's sea kayaking in lake with white water. We will be using tandem kayaks with each seating one visually impaired member and one sighted guide. The cost includes all kit hire and white water instructors, as well as minibus transport to Whitewater from various pick-up points. The session takes place on Friday, the 6th of July at 2 p.m. and costs £30 per person. If you wish to join us, again, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or members@iwsb.org.uk to register your interest. The closing date for applications is Friday, 15th of June.
Dates for your diary. Sight for Wight Members Forum 2018 dates. The forums will be held at Millbrook House between 12 noon and 1:30 p.m. on the following dates. All members are welcome to attend. Agendas and minutes are available on our website. Wednesday, 18th of July, Wednesday, 17th of October.
Members Summer Gathering. We will be holding our summer gathering for members on Thursday the 14th of June 2018 from 2:30 p.m. till 7 p.m. Entertainment, food and drink will be provided. Hopefully we will get good weather for an enjoyable afternoon. RSVP invitations will be sent out nearer the time.
Quiz night at the Waverley Pub. A quiz night in aid of Sight for Wight will be held at the Waverley Pub on Thursday, 19th of July 2018. The quiz will start at 7:30 p.m. Teams of 4 are welcome at £3 per person. Food is not included but may be ordered before the quiz. Please pre-book tables by calling the Waverley on 522 338.
Low Vision Day. We'll be holding a Low Vision Open Day here at Millbrook House on Wednesday, 19th of September, 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. Confirmed exhibitors at the time of printing are Professional Vision Services, Dolphin Software and the Age UK Digital Expert. Our resource room will also be open with our low vision equipment on display.
Visit us at up and coming events. Our team of ambassadors and staff will be out and about at various events around the island this summer, promoting our new sunglasses, keyring torch and pen torch. So please come along and say hello and buy some of our trendy sunglasses. Look out for exciting competition news on our website and Facebook page in the coming weeks. We will be at the following events. The 19th of May, Riverfest. 13th to the 15th of July, the Rhythm Tree Festival. The 21st of July, UK Pride. 4th to 5th of August, Chale Show. The 11th to 12th of August, Jack Up the 80s. 24th to the 27th of August, the Island Steam Show. And 1st of September to the 2nd of September, Wolverton Manor.
Pre-owned equipment. We have a selection of pre-owned low vision equipment in our resource room, which is available to purchase. Currently in stock. Talking kitchen measuring jug, which states in a clear voice the amount of liquid in the jug, selling pre-owned for £15. Talking kitchen scales, which state in a clear voice the weight of the item or items on the scales, selling pre-owned for £10. Talking bathroom scales, which state again in a clear voice the weight of the person on the scales in imperial or metric, selling pre-owned for £10. A selection of talking clocks. Different models vary, but they generally state the time in a clear voice, and some have alarm and date functions as well. Selling pre-loved for £5 to £15 depending on the model. Optelec Clear Reader Plus. This device will read print aloud in a clear voice and has the option to change the voice and speech speed. This is the deluxe model with a rechargeable battery. These retail new at £1,995, but we are selling pre-loved for £500. This item is in excellent condition with original box and instructions. If you are interested in any of these pre-loved items, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or members@iwsb.org.uk.
Articles wanted. We are interested in articles for members or volunteers for our quarterly newsletters. If you would like to submit an article with or without photos, please email enquiries@iwsb.org.uk. Please ensure you have permission of people featured in any photos to use their image.
And this newsletter was read by Chris,
Pauline
and Brian.
This is the BBC.
This is In Touch, the magazine programme for people like me who are blind or partially sighted. I'm Peter Wight. Thanks for downloading this week's edition. Good evening. The idea of protected employment for blind and partially sighted people has rather struggled to survive in the current UK. Modern ideas of integration and inclusion have made it unfashionable. And although some of what we used to call sheltered workshops do still operate with varying degrees of success, there's still a sense that open rather than sheltered employment is the right way to do things. But I've always been fascinated by the stories that used to circulate in Britain in the days of Soviet Russia and communism of a system of something resembling full sheltered employment amongst blind people in Russia's workshops. So as I'm here in Moscow for another project, I asked to come and see one of the city's current factories which still exist, to find out just how true those stories were and how these workshops are surviving in the post-90s Russia of full-on capitalism. So I'm here at Kultsevo Elektro, which, as its name suggests, makes electronic equipment, and it's one of a number of factories still run by VOS, or the All Russia Association of the Blind, and they run a range of services for blind people. And I'm just going up to see Valery Alexandrovich. He's director of the factory, to find out how true were those stories of full employment for blind people and just how this current factory is doing now.
Здравствуйте.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hello.
Валерий, добрый.
Valery, Peter.
Ну, сейчас. Ну, во-первых, мне очень приятно.
First of all, I would like to tell you that it is a pleasure for me to welcome you here, because...
Oh, right. Oh, that looks like an old-fashioned light switch. Yeah. Right.
Здесь блоки сантехкабин. Значит, здесь выключатель и розетка.
Yeah.
Здесь двойной выключатель.
Double.
I've just been looking at all the various products. They're on the wall. There are the switches. There are double switches. Oh, yes. Oh, I see. So that's a turn switch as opposed to an up-down switch.
This is for the industry.
Some of them are like rocker switches. Some of them turn. We always used to have the impression in Britain, before the regime change, in the 70s and 80s, that Russia had something almost approaching full employment for blind people and that it was in these workshops. My first question is was that really true?
Предприятия были включены в систему, государственную систему планирования.
During the Soviet Union times, everything was planned, and our factories were included in the register of production, and the products were manufactured according to the plan, and it was guaranteed that all the ready-made products would be sold because it was organized. There was no competition, and all the products was guaranteed to be sold at the market. All the people, blind people who wanted to work, who wanted to be employed, were employed. Did not pay any taxes. That is why their salary was quite high at that time.
So when the regime collapsed, what happened?
Предприятия Всероссийского общества слепых
The factories of the All Russia Association of the Blind began to work as ordinary factories. They had to sell their products without the help from the side of the state.
и жить только на
And
заработанные
live
деньги.
on the money they earned themselves.
That must have been a huge culture shock.
Безусловно.
Yes, absolutely.
И в результате, конечно,
And of course, as
количество
a result, the
рабочих
number
мест-
of workstations or workplaces reduced greatly.
Да, безусловно.
Yes.
И кроме того,
And
положение
besides,
усугубилось
many
еще и тем,
products from abroad appeared on the market, so our factories had to compete not only with the Russian factories, but also with the products imported.
So what was the effect? How many lost their jobs?
Ну, мне трудно говорить в масштабах страны. но
It
если
is
взять
difficult for me to tell about the country on the whole, but if I take this only factory, the number of the workers reduced twice, half twice.
the number.
Но есть,
But there are
может быть,
also
сказать это, но
positive
есть
factors in
позитив.
this.
А позитив заключался в том,
Because
что
of the
в связи с
fact
тем,
that
что
a lot
производители
of imported products came to our market from Germany, from Poland, from other countries, we have to make the quality of our products better.
Вот очень принципиально.
These are press forms. They are very important. They're essential part of production. With their help, the plastic, all other plastic electrical devices are made.
Это пластмасса. Из нее делает.
Right, Valerie has just poured
The raw
something
material.
into my hand. What is that?
The raw material, plastic.
Пластик АБС.
Right.
From which the switches are made.
So it's just granular there, tiny bits of plastic that you
Yes.
poured into my hand here. And that's what goes to make up the final products, yes?
Yes.
So pour that back in there.
These final products. 330 people are employed here, and 187 of them are visually impaired.
A lot of the blind people here, what they are doing is they're working with their hands, they're working manually. Aren't you competing in this field with production methods which are automatic?
Ну, в
The
принципе,
assembly of
сборка
electrical
электроустановок
appliances
изделий
in all the world is done manually. 95% manual work. This is manual work. Our main competitor is Schneider Electric Company. 87% of their work is done manually.
So how well are blind people able to compete in this field?
Для того, чтобы скрасить вот эту ситуацию,
In order for a
что
blind
инвалиды
person
действительно
to
не
be
могут
competitive, there are a lot of adaptations made by us, and we'll show you these adaptations in the workshop. And these adaptations help not only blind people, but also other disabilities, the result of cerebral palsy for deaf people, to increase their productivity and to be competitive with sighted workers.
автоматистов, инвалидов.
This person is totally blind, and he is one of the best chess players.
Oh, is it? Right.
Александр.
Alexander, his name is Alexander.
Okay. Can I shake hands? Alexander. Hi. My name is Peter.
Меня зовут Петр.
Can you explain to me what you're doing here, the work that you're doing?
Это собираю розетки.
I'm assembling sockets.
So,
Целиком собираем и...
Starting from the very beginning, from this
получается, в
spare
конечном-
part, and the final production is, products is this one.
which looks really very sophisticated.
So the final result will be seen when it is packed.
How long does the process take you?
Вот одну розетку минута-полторы минуты вот собираю.
This socket is rather complicated, a lot of spare parts, and it takes me usually 1 minute and a half to assemble. Of course, a sighted person would assemble it quicker, because sometimes I take the spare part and it is not even, and I notice it at a later stage. And the sighted person would notice it at once with his eyes.
Того, чтобы нам легче было работать.
I want to tell you that we have a special adaptation, this metal part, to direct my work. This one he demonstrates. So this is adaptation to fit exactly in the holes.
Oh, I see. A plug fits into another plug. I should explain, Alexander is working while he's talking to me, and he's fitting various things into a circuit board. I'm trying to work out what the adaptation that he's shown me actually does. But how many of these would you do in a day, Alexander?
По разной сложности розетки.
Sometimes 250 and sometimes 400.
Right.
He assembles different sockets.
This is hot.
Yes.
This is warm.
It was done right now.
Has that just been made?
Горячее прямо.
This is a socket, yes? A socket with a hole, and it's hot off the presses.
Верочка, скажи ему.
How much of a struggle was it, Valerie, when the regime changed, to keep these factories going?
Очень сложно.
Extremely difficult.
Если бы,
for instance, should I be suggested to repeat it for the second time, I would think a lot.
Я с вами разговариваю предельно откровенно.
You wouldn't want to go through that again?
No, I wouldn't.
What happened to the blind people who lost their jobs at that time?
Вы знаете, ну, во-первых,
the government of Moscow took measures to retain jobs for blind people, and for example, they created call centers for blind people.
Желтый для слабовидящих.
So this is the way in which they've made the factory itself accessible, because on the top of this banister there are 4, I suppose they're ball bearings. They're in a square, but it's the number of ball bearings that tell you what the floor is. So there are 4 here, so we're on the 4th floor going down. This is one of the most exciting things I've seen here. I climb stairs at the BBC. I never know which floor I'm on. I think they should introduce this idea. I'm Peter. Yeah.
Меня Татьяна.
And my name is Tatiana.
Okay. Can I ask you what you're doing here at the moment?
Я делаю заготовки на двухместную розетку.
I'm doing spare parts for the socket with 2 places. So I'm taking one part the bases, then another part the cover, and the screws.
How long have you worked here?
40 лет.
40 years.
Really?
40.
Oh, that's a long time.
Very good.
Это много.
Yeah.
Это много.
So you were here in the old days when communism was around?
В 78 году я пришла.
I came in 1978.
How different was it then?
Ну, как была работа. Работали, всегда работали. Только другой, может быть,
So I worked as I used to work, and the only change, the new products appear.
Ну, были, конечно, в 90-х годах.
Of course, they did lose many work places in 1990s. It was hard with the job, but we tried to survive.
Were you worried at the time?
Ну, конечно, у всех же семьи.
Of course, I worried a lot because all of us had families and we needed money.
Do you think this kind of factory can continue to exist in modern Russia and a world economy that is increasingly competitive?
Ну, это очень сложный вопрос.
It's a very complicated issue.
Все зависит.
Everything will depend on people who will deal with this and on their ability to tell about this problem to the government. There is no difference between the products made by sighted people or people with disabilities. The quality of the products is the same.
Valerie Alexandrovich, thank you very much. We've been joined by Helen, who is also visually impaired and is a lawyer.
Мы любим Шекспира.
I like-
To be or not to be, what is the question?
That's very good. Can you do any more? I just wanted to ask what kind of legal work Helen does for the factory.
Внутренние документы организации, все приказы.
All internal documents, court cases.
And where did you study?
University, Moscow. Впереди у нас такие перспективы, и государство нас слышит, надеюсь, услышит еще больше. Иногда слышит.
I'm absolutely sure that the future of this factory will be bright because we get support from the government, and of course people with disabilities need additional attention from the governmental bodies, and we are sure they should deal with this issue in the future. And they will do it.
Но мы надеемся на лучшее.
And we hope for the better.
Do you think this kind of supported workplace is still a viable way to give employment to blind people?
Но мы не просим нас содержать, мы просим нам помочь.
We do not ask the government to support us completely. We need some just additional support because I am sure that our products are rather competitive on the market. We earn ourselves and we will be competitive.
Я говорила, что... Хорошо, да, поняла.
If, for instance, I would be employed at other factories, there would be no conditions for me to work because there are special conditions created for me since I am visually impaired, especially here, and I'm very grateful.
Под присмотром людей без инвалидности.
And it is important that here sighted people and visual and impaired people work together because it is a great stimulus for them to adaptate.
What are the adaptations that are most helpful to you, most valuable?
This is the permission for me to come later, for instance.
Второе, я выбираю то место, которое...
Secondly, I choose the workplace which is more convenient for me. And everyone understands my problems with the sight, and when they arise, they are very tolerant and patiently waiting for me to overcome.
Кроме того, у нас
We have a local VOS organization which can give me some technical means which make my work simpler.
потому что это было сумасшедшее.
Sergei Vanshin, who works for the All Russia Organization for Blind People, told me what had happened to some of them.
It was just a terrible time.
Большой
crazy
криминал.
time, he says, crazy time.
Много криминала и мало закона.
A lot of criminals appeared, and few laws.
К сожалению, наши предприятия оказались...
It was difficult and is difficult to compete in the open market.
Это осталось и сегодня.
It still remains for today.
Did some factories close as a result of that?
Некоторые же предприятия наверняка закрылись из-за этого. Yes, and our factories appear to be in the system without any benefits. The employment for blind workers is the most efficient way of giving work, jobs for blind people.
Were there other effects on blind people when the big political changes took place in the early 90s?
I think that the life before the beginning of 90s was more organized in general.
И в условиях, когда в ситуации, когда условия...
And of course, when everything is pre-planned or planned or organized, it is easier for blind people. And in 90s as well as now, there is a kind of chaos.
Chaos.
Chaos, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, in chaos, it is difficult for blind people to live in chaos.
So what they're doing here, they're pressing the plastic into a mould to make a light fitting, and Valerie has just handed me one, which is also still steaming hot. And yeah, these are more of those double sockets, just been pressed into a mould. Do you think you can make things here as economically when you're employing people who are inevitably slower?
С экономической точки зрения...
The point of absence of losses is 22 million rubles for this factory. If we succeed, this 22 million rubles per month for this factory, it is okay. If it is less, it is not profitable. But there are measures of support in this factory. For example, all these factories belong to the All Russia Association of the Blind. This is their property.
Кроме того, правительство Москвы заинтересовано в том,
and the government of Moscow, though it is not so much interested in our factory, still they support us, they give us financial assistance to keep our factory. So all these measures taken together allow us to survive.
Кроме того, я еще одну вещь хочу сказать.
And I would like to stress the fact that we have some workers whose productivity is very low. But we still keep these workers, we give them employment, and during the 5 years we fired no one. We keep all of them. If it were an ordinary factory, these workers would be fired, of course.